Good morning, guys. So the president signed a sweeping order restricting travel to the U.S. for nearly 20 countries. The White House says those countries are high risk for terrorism, visa abuse, and failure to share security information. So nationals from 12 countries, including Afghanistan, Iran, Somalia, Libya, and Yemen, are banned from coming to the U.S. Individuals from 7 more countries, including Venezuela and Cuba, will all face partial restrictions.
The strength of the restrictions we're applying depends on the severity of the threat posed, and likewise, new countries can be added as threats emerge around the world. But we will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, and nothing will stop us from keeping America safe.
Meanwhile, Democrats like Congressman Daniel Goldman are accusing the president of racism.
It's pretty consistent with what his quote-unquote immigration policy is, which is just essentially to keep anyone who's not white out of the country. And that's what he's trying to do with these mass deportations of people who are going through the asylum process, which is a lawful pathway.
And guys, the president says this order is a direct result of the anti-Semitic terror attack in Boulder, Colorado over the weekend.
The strength of the wolf is the pack, and the strength of the pack is the wolf.
Diversity is our strength. The farmer keeps the gate open because it's good for us.
It's not safe for us in the wilderness. The farmer's land is where we must, let's say, assimilate.
I can't wait to meet our new neighbors.
Close the gate, you morons.
Close the gate, you morons! Close the gate! All right, okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, an exciting time to be alive, and we will all be alive. This time, guaranteed for President Trump's new whipping of a world leader inside of the Oval Office. It's going to happen live on the show. You are in the right spot if you are waiting for Donald Trump to drop another proverbial nuke on Ukraine or a South African leader. Well, it's going to happen today. The socialist leader of Germany that has just tried to shut out the Freedom Party. They tried to make the ADF, which is their version of like the Republican Party in Germany, illegal. Expect Donald Trump to just destroy Germany's leader today. It's going to happen live on the show. And we have a ton of other things that will be a very special preview to the Torch Fest that's about to happen in the Oval. But if you liked South Africa, if you liked what they did to Volodymyr Zelensky, you're going to love what they are about to do to the most censorious and tyrannical regime in all of Europe. Some things, man, some things stay the same, you see. They've also banned a lot of speech in Germany. You think it's bad in the UK. Try sharing a meme or saying something that the intel committees don't agree with in Germany. So it is wild how things stay the same. I thought this was like 70, 80 years ago. No, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, again today. So Donald Trump is going to take world leaders to task on the show. That's going to happen in the next hour. Very exciting day. Thursday, June 5th, 2025. Trump signs order barring foreign nationals from 12 nations from entering the United States of America. Did the order include the term S-hole? Not sure. We'll find out. We try and have a family-friendly show. We'll see. We'll see if we let it slip on the show today. Because we've been hanging out with Kid Rock, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Very interesting last 24 hours. And we brought you with us as best we could, as best as it was polite to do. But we got some neat updates for you. Trump orders investigation into Joe Biden's mental decline and use of Autopen. So now it's an official presidential order for the DOJ to go and prosecute and investigate. So we're locked in and ready for that with our guests, the great Lauren Boebert. Come on, baby. And Dean Cain, Superman, will be on the show today. Are you freaking ready? We're going to watch Superman. We're going to watch Donald Trump in the Oval Office do his magic. Get prepared and locked in. It's happening in the next hour. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, and we've been hanging out at a couple very cool houses, Colden. Got to tell you, I don't think I've ever been to the cooler houses. In fact, we went to a place called the Southern White House. We're going to show you a little bit of it, right? And we've been hanging out at some cool houses. It's freaking great. We're not here to brag about that necessarily. We're here to bring you with us because this is a massive victory for us and a massive victory for what's being built here, what God's building here, right? Like for God's plan. We're just like we're just marching, okay? We're gonna roll with it. It's exciting. It's an exciting moment. We're deeply thankful and we have great gratitude. We want you to have your house in order. Please do so with American Financing. American Financing can help use the equity that you have in your home to pay off some of these high interest credit card debt. Credit card debt is crippling in America. There's higher credit card debt than ever in this country, and we got problems with our national debt. We also got problems spending on a personal level. It's something that I think everybody needs to rein in a little bit. Now, these rates are insane, and American Financing is helping people get out from under the massive millstone that breaks your back, which are interest rates of 25% or more, should be illegal. This is math that nobody wants to face, but don't face it alone. American Financing can help you today. They're saving their customers an average of $800 a month to break free from, again, what I believe is illegal interest rates. You owe it to your family to see what's possible. No upfront fees, no pressure. It costs you nothing to find out what you can save. If you start today, you'll be able to delay mortgage payments, and you'll be able to get financial freedom. Call American Financing today at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219, americanfinancing.net/Benny. All right, here we go. Talk about financing. Boy, here is a photo of us with Kid Rock doing a little interview on the street here in Nashville. Kid Rock invited us to his restaurant opening. It's pretty cool. And I'd never met him, but I'm not a pretentious person. I don't try and like overstate like our relationships here. It's just that people are noticing this chat. We love the chat. Oh, and here we go. Chat on screen. Here we go. Sorry, everyone. Here we go. Chat on screen. There it goes. People are noticing the chat, and they're saying, "Yo, what's up? Let's get some of that energy." So this was our energy. We did an interview with Kid Rock. We'll play it for you here in just a minute. Why not? This is a relatively short interview, but it's made a lot of news because Kid Rock went flames on, calling Bruce Springsteen a pussy, saying that Al Sharpton can kiss his ass. It's nice when people are on brand. It's nice when you meet celebrities and they're like exactly who you hope they'd be. That's exactly what happened. Is it not right? It's exactly what happened. Colden knows. Colden was with us. Killer Klein is out for a much needed little rest, and Colden is locking in with the show today. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do full Colden introduction. But he was with us filming. We have a great full video that we're going to do on this and take you with us into the party and show you everything, right? That's being produced right now. That'll be up this weekend. But we did drop the Kid Rock interview yesterday. And also, interestingly enough, you saw us stream live from John Rich's house as soon as we were done with that. And we also did DJ. We did go viral saying that I'm quitting my job. And I will now be an official DJ with my fake headphones and no CD. So I have no record. This is how good of a DJ I am. I have no record. This is like AOC's handcuffs. You ever seen the AOC with the fake invisible handcuffs, right? We play it often on the show where she faked that she was getting handcuffed. I'm not sure if that's like a thing that she's into. We've all seen photos of her husband. Clearly she wants a real man in her life. Anyway, AOC has the fake handcuffs. I have the fake headphones. But I found a Donald Trump DJ booth. I've never seen anything like it. This is inside a Kid Rock's bar, and it's freaking awesome. So this also went viral. Anyway, Kid Rock must have liked it because then he invited us out to his house yesterday, and we were able to just go chill. And we just went and chilled, and were able to like break bread and like catch up, and talk about like neat ways that we could do we could work together on stuff. And so in full disclosure and bringing you along, sometimes you go out and you're meeting people for the first time, so you got to put your phone down. You got to like not be filming all the time, and but anyway, that's that. Expect more, right? I guess is what we're saying. Expect more. The world is getting very small. We feel very blessed and deeply encouraged by the energy of this audience and this moment. And the stories that we heard about Donald Trump yesterday sent me howling with laughter. I was howling with laughter. You've probably seen maybe the Tucker special. Tucker went and did showed Kid Rock's house and what he was building. It's up on this giant mountaintop, right? And, it's outside of Nashville. It's up on this big mountaintop. It's the most beautiful house I've ever seen. And I think that my laughter was probably rolling through the Tennessee hills because the stories that we heard yesterday were hysterical. Expect them on a soon-to-be-produced podcast, maybe that we'll do in the future. Yesterday, we were just trying to be like good old Southern gentlemen and like meet people for the first time and hang out. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, what a gentleman. I got to tell you. I may have to start calling him Bob, like the president. Bob. He's like a total gentleman. I've never seen anybody more hospitable. Him and John Rich. What absolute and total legends. Anyway, the point is that if you're a fan of country music, I bet you are. I bet you like country music. Country music's clearly the most popular genre of music in America right now, no doubt. Beyonce can't sell tickets. Katy Perry can't sell tickets. They're canceling tour dates. You could get a Beyonce ticket for the price of a Happy Meal right now in LA. They've proven it. The Daily Mail did a whole report. You can go to a Beyonce concert for $16. That's how crashed out these Kamala Harris endorsers are. This is the cultural shift, and we're proud. We're glad to be part of it. And in order to change culture, you need to do what we're going to do on the show, right? We're going to cover the president. We're going to talk spit facts and talk about the news. But you also got to do what Kid Rock does, and he's opening restaurants, creating restaurants are culture. Food is culture. Music is culture. Movies are culture. We work with Angel Studios here. We're really proud to partner with Angel Studios, on some of their projects. When they have a banger out in theaters, we want, that's us owning, we dominate culture. We're going to take it over. And we're winning for the first time ever. For the first time in my lifetime, we are ascendant, right? And they are descendant. They are crashing out. Man, have you seen some of these clips from Katy Perry? Some of these shows, something happened to her up in space. Maybe they did. Maybe they pulled a Biden on her. You ever thought about that? Maybe it's not Katy Perry. Maybe it's an alien. She does have that song, about aliens. Maybe that's what happened in the Jeff Bezos dildo rocket. She goes up to space, okay, and they pull a Biden. They get they sent back a Katy Perry lizard person, skin suit person. You don't know. We don't know. I don't know. And I'd like to see a full scale investigation. Can somebody please start that? Maybe that's what Donald Trump will talk about in the White House. We'll see. He'll be live soon. I don't actually know that one. Avril Lavigne conspiracy? What is that?
They swapped her. Everybody thinks they swapped Avril Lavigne.
Really?
They did that to Katy Perry too.
Can we have a fit check on Avril Lavigne? Does anybody know where she is? Is she around? Did she just disappear? We don't know. Did she just disappear? We'll see. Very interesting. Okay. Well, let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our interview because there's just going to be no other time in the show. We have a ton of news to get to because President Trump has made a ton of news. Dan Bongino's been on Fox. Dan Bongino went on Fox News and also did a couple of bombshells. Bongino just shared our video, in fact, which is an honor. And so we have a ton to get to in the show. We have some kick-ass guests. But since there's just going to be no better time to play it, we're going to jump to our Kid Rock interview. It's 5 minutes. But this is what we talked about with Kid Rock. We were outside of his bar. And again, we will have a big time special that will that's getting fully produced and edited today and will be up on the channel this weekend. That'll take you everywhere and show you everything that we saw, right? Because you're coming along with us. And so here's the interview, though, outside of the Detroit Cowboy is the name of the restaurant in Nashville. Here we go. Can you tell me about this beautiful vehicle?
That is a 64 Bonneville done by Nudie the Rodeo Tailor, who did all the famous Western clothing out in California. And actually his protege, Manuel, is here, who did this shirt and the crazy outfit I had on in the Oval Office recently. He's done, they've dressed between them, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Elton John, you name them, down the line. And this car was actually Hank Williams Jr.'s 15th birthday present. If you can imagine that.
That is a 15-year-old's dream birthday present.
I'd be dead if I got that at 15.
Yeah, that's right. How many guns are on this car?
I haven't counted them, but there's a lot.
That's amazing. So he designed the incredible outfit you wore at the Oval Office. How was that? How did that meeting go? How was that, with Bill Maher inside of the... Give us some background.
It was great. POTUS was not too excited about it at first. I got a few phone calls leading up to it. The funniest story, though, is I'm in there, and this is where we're getting ready to do the executive order. He's like, pull Bob up a chair. And I'm like, well, thank God I've been standing here for a while. I thought I was just being kind, need a seat. He's like, come here. What the hell are we doing tonight? He's like, Melania just told me about this. And I'm like, what? We've talked about it. Like, and I'm like, sir, I got 2 questions. I'm like, number 1, do you think I would line up a meeting with one of your biggest adversaries, critics, without talking to you first? I go, number 2, do I have the power to do that? Because I got a ton of dinners I want to line up in. Well, no, it couldn't have gone better, man. It was incredible. Me and Dana just sit back, kind of enjoyed the ride. Like, wow, look at everybody playing nice in the sandbox. And I thought it was something the country really needed. It couldn't have worked out better. And of course, the mainstream media does nothing, doesn't report an eon, nothing about it. Right. None of the mainstream media. Fox News does it, people like that, which is really, the new media now. Like, screw the mainstream media. They're public enemy number 1 in my book.
Do you think you're going to see a change in culture with entertainers moving maybe that direction? Because we all watched Bill Maher's monologue afterwards. He was like, man, I loved that guy. He said, I loved that guy.
Yeah, they had a great time. It was really good. I mean, I think you saw when Trump got elected again, started to see people like, oh, the water's warm. Saw a few people that probably, never, that you probably could have guessed they were a little more conservative or, might have been MAGA a little bit, but, it's like anything, the more you prove yourself, the better you do, the more people jump on the bandwagon. And that's fine. We want them on the bandwagon. Like me and Dana were talking that night. It's like, we don't need any more enemies. We need friends. Just sit back. The Democrats just screw it up. I mean, they're just nuts. It's like they don't even make it halfway reasonable.
So is the next dinner going to be Eminem?
Could be. You never know. I don't know.
You're both from Detroit?
Maybe I got to prod him again a little bit. I think bringing anybody in that situation, just even if they say, like, I hate your politics, I don't like what you do, but just to break bread and be like, hey, we don't got to beat each other's freaking throats all the time. Hating each other, like trying to cancel each other and all that crap that's been going on for way too long. It's like, man, we can just be reasonable. It's the oldest cliche in the book, agree to disagree. Like, it means something.
Detroit cowboy, you got technically canceled in Detroit, right? You weren't tolerated in Detroit. And so now you moved here. What's the story?
It was the NAN network. Al Sharpton, him and his race baiting clowns. They're kind of like they came out trying to protest this old Confederate flag stuff, which I had already addressed when I got my freaking NAACP award. And I was like, they kind of want you to get on bended knee and, kiss their butt. And I'm like, I think I was talking to Megyn Kelly, and she's like, do you have a comment? I was like, yeah, tell them to kiss my ass. I'm like, how about that? I was like, I'm not getting on bended knee. So they started putting a bunch of pressure on some of the corrupt city officials. Understand it. I've never confirmed this. I was just kind of told, by the powers that be, like they were getting a lot of pressure and they're trying to do a lot of big things in Detroit. And, people are saying they're going to make it difficult for them because it had nothing to do with the people of Detroit. You know how these things are. It's a couple woke snowflakes, empty wagons make the most noise type of thing. So I was like, dude, I don't care. I was like, this is mailbox money to me. I'm like, I won't renew my lease. I was like, but can I have my signage? Which I didn't pay for. He's like, yeah, man, you can have your signage. I'm like, cool. Threw it in a tractor barn for years. I'm like, now it's up in here. Go where you celebrate it, not tolerate it. Which is just bad because it's another Democrat-run city just shooting themselves in the foot. Had the #1 restaurant there, providing jobs, great place for people to come together after games at LCA Arena. And it's like, you know what you guys are that did that? Idiots. Straight up idiots. But thank you. Because now I've built the honky-tonk down here and made more money in a year than that place was ever going to pay me in 20. I'd have send Al Sharpton a freaking bunt cake.
Final question on culture. You think we're going to see we saw like Beyonce, we saw every celebrity again side with Kamala, but it didn't work. And for the first time maybe in our lifetime, it really didn't work. And people saw it as inauthentic. What's your take on culture and the way it's going moving forward?
Hollywood became uncool years ago. I looked up to it when I was a kid. Man, it's cool, Hollywood, man. They look and they dress. And, now with, everything at your fingertips, you can see behind the curtain. You can see the wizard's a midget. You know what I mean? It's like you see these people like, oh, yeah, you just dress up and act like other people. Not taking anything away because there are some phenomenal actors, that are really great at their craft. But, these Hollywood knuckleheads, man, I'm proud to be their kryptonite. You know what I mean? And it's like, people just aren't buying their BS anymore. It's crap, like, look at what we stay. Springsteen just wants to be in good contention with Hollywood. He hangs out with all them people. He's on their yachts and all this crap. Like, I love some of his music and I respect some things that he's done, this, that, and the other. But, you start talking garbage about, the president in Europe. It's like, come on, man. Don't be a pussy.
It's a bad look. He goes all the way to the UK to talk shit about the president.
Yeah. Not a good look.
Yeah, not a good look. This is a good look. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
This is the spot to be. We're really excited to get inside.
Yeah. Let's go get a beer, man.
Let's
Get my granddaughter, Shirley Temple. Is my granddaughter, Miss Guy.
Hi, Miss Sky.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It's a beautiful hat.
Thank you.
Did you vote for Donald Trump?
Yes.
Good. Just a little light voter fraud. Yes, just kind of in your heart.
You would have.
Yes, that's right. Was it exciting to see Grandpa up on stage performing at the RNC and with the president?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was that
Been to
fun?
a lot of shows.
Yeah. Was that fun? You think President Trump's ever going to sing with him?
Maybe.
Yeah. I think that would be a golden. That would be a platinum record. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good endorsement right there. My man. That's
Thanks,
awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
That's great.
I mean, listen, he called Bruce Springsteen a pussy, and he said Al Sharpton can kiss my ass. And then he said he's going to bring Eminem to the White House next. Well, all right. You know what? That made quite a few headlines also yesterday and news cycles, and we were just out here asking the questions that you want us to ask and, doing the things that you give us the power to do. So we're just deeply appreciative for the chat. We have nothing but love. And I'm watching that and I'm like, man, what a wild ride, because the shows, we only started the show, like ALX and I were streaming the show out of a spare bedroom in like practically a closet. Yeah, it wasn't even a studio, and it was like, 3 years ago, ALX? And here we are. So it's providential. We're humbled and thankful for it. And we just want to say we're like never stop fighting you. Never stop fighting for you. We're never going to lose our edge or our authenticity, and we'll always bring this show along. So it's been it was a great time in Nashville. More to come. Get ready. More to come. We were cooking, so we got some things. We're plotting. We have some things that we are plotting now. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of plotting and keeping the energy moving, President Trump banning foreign nationals from 12 nations. Good. Here we go. Travel ban. Travel ban. Travel ban. Travel ban. Can we cheers? Hold on. We're doing our best. We're doing our best to bring in asset, like sound assets in the show. What are the countries? That's good. That was good. I like that. It ended abruptly, but I like it. We're working on it. Expect plenty of rap horns. This is the rap horn. This is the sound of rap. Expect plenty of these when Trump's live. When Trump's live in the next hour, we'll have plenty of rap horns for you. And we'll probably have plenty of cheers. So President Trump has barred criminal aliens, migrants, or anyone from 12 countries from entering America. And I think this makes a lot of sense. Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, I didn't even know that was a country. Sorry, it sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings. Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. The president wrote in an order. This is a travel ban. Can't wait for a judge to reverse it, of course, immediately, and say that the entire population of Somalia and the Republic of Congo, they all need to move directly to Minneapolis, Minnesota. All of them. Everyone. We need to clear out the entire country and move it all to Minneapolis. That's the next judge's order. So next thing that's going to happen. Additionally, the Trump administration says partially limit entry to nationals from 7 other countries. Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. These restrictions distinguish between, but apply both to the entry of immigrants and non-immigrants, read the proclamation. So if you are Somalian and you're trying to get to Disneyland, then your vacation just got blown up, for lack of a better term. Yikes. Trump cited Sunday's anti-Semitic firebombing attack in Colorado, allegedly carried out by an Egyptian national. I don't know why they have to do this, allegedly carried out. It's on camera. The guy's a filthy, dirtbag, scumbag, cockroach terrorist. He's a terrorist. He's a Hamas supporter. He yelled Free Palestine, and then he lit a bunch of old Jewish women on fire. He lit him on fire with a flamethrower. And then he was bragging about it, and he's like, he's yelling there in front of a Pride Progress flag with the entire thing, with the bench and the grass on fire. Why do we need to write allegedly? I don't get that. I'll say it. Deport him and his entire family. And when we covered the story 2 days ago, when we covered the story 2 days ago, we said, you know what's going to happen? A lib district judge is going to stop the deportation of him and his family. So ICE immediately rounded up him and his 5 children. In case any part of you thinks that this is cruel, well, he openly described and plotted his jihad with his family, and his family said nothing. So I don't care who they are. I don't want those people in the country. If they are accessory, I mean, they're lucky if the deportation is all they get. You know, if you're an accessory to terrorism, you should face the death penalty. If somebody explains a terrorist plot to you and you do nothing about it, in fact, you encourage it to happen, then you're accessory to that, and you should be charged to the full extent of the law. So actually, this dumbass judge, deportation might be actually one of the best results for this family. Charge them here. Bring charges against them. These guys are actually scum. Why would we want more of that in our country? Why would we knowingly import people that are ready to kill us? It's suicidal. Here's a photo of the judge. I can't believe this isn't AI. He looks like Squidward from SpongeBob. But this is the photo of the judge who blocked the deportation of the terrorist and his family. We joked that this would happen, and here it is. This is why it's so hard to do comedy these days. It's hard to do comedy because you can't, it's difficult to parody things. You can't be a Babylon Bee writer anymore. How do you create further parody? Democrats have to lose, man. They have to lose. So there they are, ladies and gentlemen, blocking the deportation of not just, I mean, it's one thing when it's like, we've got a guy at a construction site, right? Or he was protesting at a student event. I think they should all go. I demand that they all go home, okay? All of y'all have to go home. If you're here criminally and illegally, all of y'all have to go home. I don't care if you've been here for 20 years. You got to go home. That's the official stance of this program, all right? However, if you're going to split hairs, then blocking the guy at the construction site, whatever, all right? If you're going to split hairs, it's not like I'm permissive of that or in favor of that. But blocking the guy who lit a bunch of Americans on fire with a flamethrower? Like preventing that deportation? That's sadistic. It's satanic. It's sadistic. This is sadistic. I don't know what else to. I don't know how else to express it. It's demonic. If this guy was looking to house terrorists, maybe he could do it in his chin. This guy was looking to actually provide cover for terrorists, maybe he could do it in the planetary-sized jaw. What the hell is this? Is this an AI? Producers, are you punking me? This guy's a Pixar character. I can't believe it's real. I don't get it. I don't understand. How could anybody support this? Why are Democrats not on the record saying, should the terrorist family be deported? The terrorist, the flamethrower that burned an 88-year-old Jewish woman alive? Like her skin was melting off her body, according to being burned alive, probably one of the worst deaths humanly imaginable. Like her skin was melting off her body, according to the eyewitnesses. So is that enough to get deported? No, it's not. Try not to yell. It makes me angry. I mean, it makes me furious. So President Trump is using this as an opportunity, which it should be, right? You know, everything is an opportunity to make your point, whether it's Lake and Riley or this, that Joe Biden imported, and of course this guy was imported under Joe Biden and his entire freaking family, to say these are toxic, parasitic individuals that are here to do harm to us. And it's going to get even worse. They're going to get more organized, and something really bad's going to happen. Sadly, that's what many of the experts are saying. They're very nervous about it, Dan Bongino as well. So anyway, the point is that Donald Trump's order is well-founded, well-grounded, expected, of course, to be blocked immediately. Here's President Trump explaining his order. Clip A, please.
The recent terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, has underscored the extreme dangers posed to our country by the entry of foreign nationals who are not properly vetted, as well as those who come here as temporary visitors and overstay their visas. We don't want them. In the 21st century, we've seen one terror attack after another carried out by foreign visa overstayers from dangerous places all over the world. And thanks to Biden's open door policies, today there are millions and millions of these illegals who should not be in our country. In my first term, my powerful travel restrictions were one of our most successful policies, and they were a key part of preventing major foreign terror attacks on American soil. We will not let what happened in Europe happen to America. That's why on my first day back in office, I directed the Secretary of State to perform a security review of high-risk regions and make recommendations for where restrictions should be imposed. Among the national security threats their analysis considered are the large-scale presence of terrorists, failure to cooperate on visa security, inability to verify travelers' identities, inadequate record-keeping of criminal histories, and persistently high rates of illegal visa overstays, and other things. Very simply, we cannot have open migration from any country where we cannot safely and reliably vet and screen those who seek to enter the United States. That is why today I am signing a new executive order placing travel restrictions on countries including Yemen, Somalia, Haiti, Libya, and numerous others. The strength of the restrictions we're applying depends on the severity of the threat posed. The list is subject to revision based on whether material improvements are made, and likewise new countries can be added as threats emerge around the world. But we will not allow people to enter our country who wish to do us harm, and nothing will stop us from keeping America safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your attention to this matter, says President Trump. It's amazing. Do you have a suicide? I mean, is your nation committing suicide? Do you have a culture? It's this very beautiful point that was made that if you cleared out all of the people from Italy, if you took every Italian and you moved them to Florida, some of us would just call that Palm Beach, but if you took every Italian from Italy and moved them to Florida, then Italy was just like a barren rock. It would cease to be Italy. Italy isn't like the stones on top of the buildings. Like, Italy isn't the houses, or the rocks there. It's the people. The people are the conduit of the culture. The people are the conduit of the traditions, the language. The people are Italy. That's what an Italian is. So then Italy would move to Florida. Again, we call that Boca Raton. But that's it, right? That you move all of those people. That's what Italy is. Italy is not the street signs that are like, that ain't it. The rocks on top of other rocks. It's the people. You do that enough, you do that at scale, and you get Minneapolis, which is now miniature Somalia. Minneapolis is no longer Minneapolis. They moved enough Somalis into Minneapolis, and now, of course, you have crimes, and you have murder rates, and you have things that are happening in Minneapolis that never happened in Minneapolis when it was a little Swedish and Norwegian enclave, which is what Minnesota was, right? That's where the accent, that's where the goofy Minnesota accent comes from. It's all Norwegians there. You changed it forever. It's no longer that place anymore that you might have recalled. And it's happening around the world. And it's culturally suicidal. And President Trump putting a stop to it will preserve Like, if you believe, take a step back. Are Americans worth preserving? Because we're a people. The opinion of this program is that America is a very specific type of people and persons, that we have rich histories, cultures, and traditions that make you an American. And when you're born on this soil, you're born into a proud tradition of being an American. And that's special, and that's good, and should be preserved. And if you're not born on this soil, if you're born in Somalia, you don't share those traditions. And so you need to be extremely careful. I would argue zero immigration for the nation until we sort out our criminal alien problem. I would argue zero immigration until the criminal aliens are gone. I think that would be a very nice, reset. But you run up against a very existential issue when you are allowing people from terrorist hotbeds, which is all the countries that were aforementioned, when you allow people to come from cultures that are certainly not harmonious or homogenous with American culture, that do not share the same traditions, do not share the same values, and more importantly, may actually have antithetical values to us as a nation. That's how you get little grannies, little meemaws getting flamethrowered for their free speech. What was their crime in Colorado? Lauren Boebert from Colorado is going to join us in just a moment. What's the crime in Colorado exactly? Little Jewish grannies, little meemaws, were out there with signs saying they want hostages freed. Well, guess what? In America, they have every right to say that or to say whatever else they want. That was so offensive to someone from Egypt, which is where Muhammad was from, that he got a flamethrower and burned him alive. Do you see how that's not harmonious with Western civilization? That those aren't that's not how that somebody who's willing to do that won't work here, and more grandmothers or little girls or you or your family will be burned alive if you bring enough of those people here. Do you want that? It's called suicide. It's called cultural suicide. So the nation is its people. If the people of a nation are a terrorist hotbed or are accelerating piratism like in Somalia, terrorism like in Yemen, some of these other nations that are totally dysfunctional and are completely overtaken by, there are a couple of Muslim Brotherhood nations in the list. When you bring those people into your country, you're bringing in that element. Afghanistan is a great example. You're bringing in that element. I don't think I can even describe, I think they'll take the show down if I describe to you what soldiers who came back from Afghanistan described to me about some of the Peshawar warriors that, some of the traditions that they have. Little kids, little boys, and things like that. You don't want that in this country. It is repulsive to the soul and the spirit. You don't want those traditions brought into your nation. Your nation will, you bring enough of them in, your nation will cease being your country. The protections that we have for speech, religion, children in this nation, the civilized behavior we have in this country, the cleanliness, by and large, that we have in this country, that goes away when you remove the people who keep the side up, as we say. So, be careful. President Trump doing exactly what is necessary right now, especially when you have 20 million criminal aliens in this country. Tom Cotton, friend of the show, applauding the ban. Somebody who's smart and has served his country. Let's go.
First off, on the ban of those nations, how do you feel about it?
I commend the president for implementing this badly needed and overdue ban on countries where we really can't vet anyone. Countries have a history of known violence and terrorism. Take, for instance, Haiti and Somalia. You have gang violence that is basically controlling all of Haiti. You have Islamic terrorism across Somalia. And what does it even mean to vet someone from those countries? There's no governing institutions there that can do background checks. This has long been a lie from the left wing about how we're going to do background checks on illegal immigrants or people coming from dangerous countries. It's simply not possible. I mean, consider what we do for young Americans who want to go in the military or the law enforcement. They have to say where they've lived. You call up the police department, you call the state police, you do background checks, you make sure that they're suited for the job. There are no institutions in many of these countries where you can do these things. So this is another common sense victory for President Trump and America's safety.
Senator.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining the program live right now is the legendary Congresswoman from Colorado, who I'm sure has quite a take on this, given the fact that she's been warning about it for a long time. If Colorado had listened to Lauren Boebert, then there wouldn't be at least like dozens of burn victims sitting in hospital right now. Sadly, they didn't. Lauren Boebert live on the show right now. Congresswoman, welcome back to the show. I see that you are traveling right now. Where are you? Outside the Capitol?
Yes, so now I am outside the Capitol. I had a great studio set up for you to do this hit, but the Democrats called a procedural vote to bring Elon Musk in before our oversight committee, so we needed to rush down there for votes. It's funny, the Democrats think that they're wasting our time, but we do a great job wasting our own time. They don't need to help us. But here's the thing. We're talking about Colorado. We're talking about this radical judge who has weaponized his position and is not taking action for this radical terrorist who is in Colorado burning Americans. And you're right. I have been sounding the alarm on this for a long time. Democrat Colorado is so far left that we can't even stand up for our own citizens anymore. When you have groups that are burning the American flag, well, maybe this is a telltale sign that next up is not flags, it's burning American citizens. And his family, I believe that they have been just as radicalized as he has. They are living in his home. They are here illegally, and they need to be deported. This judge needs to be impeached. There needs to be actions against him. And we have got to start making Colorado safe once again. We have a chief of police in Boulder who refuses to call this what it is, a targeted act of terror. Don't pussyfoot around this one. This is very clear. He was yelling free Palestine. This is someone who says he has no remorse, that he would do this again. And it's clearly a targeted act of terror. And for the chief of police to come out and say, yeah, we can't really say that. Well, guess what? If it was a white guy with an AR-15, you wouldn't be afraid to call it out and say that it was an act of terror. Instead, maybe he just had some hate speech. He had Molotov cocktails and more that he intended to and wanted to use. This is radical, and this is what happens when Democrat policies are left to run wild.
So we said it almost as a joke, Congresswoman, or like as a meme, that the district judge would prevent the deportation of the Egyptian terrorist that screamed "Free Palestine" and then used a flamethrower on Americans. And then the meme happened. What should happen to this judge?
This judge should be removed from the bench. This is not someone who should be overseeing American law. He can't even follow our federal laws and uphold the Constitution and keep American citizens safe. Any judge that is blocking orders to deport criminal aliens from our interior needs to be disbarred, needs to be removed, and never be allowed to serve again. This is action that I believe Congress should be engaged in. There's a lot of things here that we could be doing that we're not doing. I don't know if it's we're afraid we don't have the votes in the Senate. But Benny, I wasn't elected to the Senate, and so their margins don't concern me as much as our majority here in the House and our rules and procedures here in the House. And we need to start getting votes up on the board, whether that's to change this judicial structure or impeach judges.
Yes. So you have a big fight going on right now with Elon Musk and this big, beautiful bill. Can you give me some backgrounder on that? I know that you are on government oversight and accountability. You're also somebody who's been a fiscal hawk. What's your take here,
Yeah, so Benny, I'm obviously here to serve the American people and to deliver on the mandate that the people gave President Trump. President Trump has amazing policies, promises that he has made in this one big beautiful bill. When we passed it out of the House, it wasn't exactly the most beautiful in its state that we sent it, but we were given promises that it would get stronger in the Senate. I've never seen anything like that happen, but hopefully we have some strong enough conservatives to ensure that happens. And so I would say President Trump isn't wrong and Elon Musk isn't wrong. Elon is right in saying that this bill is not great and we really should start over. We tried to have leadership hold off on this one big beautiful bill. We weren't approaching a government shutdown or any kind of imminent deadline. We could have waited 2 weeks and got the bill better before we passed it out of the House. Now, this bill is very important because it's our only chance to avoid the filibuster, that 60-vote margin in the Senate. So this will be signed into law. And frankly, for it to be, I guess, if you want to say an omnibus bill, which it kind of is, I want it to be really good because I am against continuing resolutions. I'm against omnibus bills. I like single subject legislation. And I also know where we are with our numbers and what we need to do to deliver for President Trump. So avoiding that 60-vote margin in the Senate is very important. And also, we should be addressing every single thing that we can in this bill. Now, this is all mandatory spending. We cannot do the little Doge cuts, which I'll add up to a lot, of course, in this budget reconciliation. So a lot of Americans have not been informed or educated on the process of a budget reconciliation. And so they're like, where are the Doge cuts? Where are the executive orders? Why isn't that put in there if this is a must-pass bill? But there are only certain budgetary items that we can touch in a budget reconciliation, and we can't go after as much policy as we would like to. So I want this bill to be perfect. I want illegal aliens off of Medicaid. I want them off of SNAP, what used to be called food stamps. I want work requirements. I want able-bodied adults off of here, and we need to get as many other wins as possible that have that budgetary connection.
Okay. I mean, I think there's a threading of the needle that is lost, I think, on many American, because you don't have 60 votes in the Senate. You do have to do this through reconciliation. Mm-hmm. And it gets kind of messy, the process, and it gets hard to follow. And so we're going to try and do our best to like notch up the win for the president, but also ask for more. So the Doge cuts would be great. You're on government oversight and accountability. You had a banger yesterday with Karine Jean-Pierre leaving the Democrat Party, and you're saying she needs to be subpoenaed. She needs to be called in. What's going to be the process there? Is that currently in deliberation right now?
So this is a subpoena that Chairman Comer will need to sign off on, and I think that this is something we need to do immediately. Since I've served on oversight, I've heard, we have to go through the process. We should start with lower level staff. We should bring somebody in for a deposition, and that might take 10 days, might take 2 weeks, and maybe they show up and maybe they don't, and if they don't, then they get a subpoena. I'm done with all that. We have the majority. Our time is short. We don't know what the midterms are going to look like, and I want to start issuing these subpoenas just like the Democrats did. They didn't care about process or certainly due process. Or anything. They cared about their agenda and delivering for their base. This is huge. I want Karine Jean-Pierre to come in before oversight and answer to the lies that she told from the White House podium as press secretary about Joe's cognitive function or cognitive decline, and explain her lies to the American people. I want her to come in before her book is released. I don't want her book to have cover for her or Democrats to be able to pick that apart. She needs to come in and answer before Congress why she lied for years to the American people. And also, Benny, let me just remind you, she also went on The View after she was press secretary and didn't have an obligation to defend Joe Biden. And she certainly was not an independent then. She was still a radical lying Democrat.
Yes. So what would you ask her if she was before your committee?
I would first ask her, what was your contact with Joe Biden? Were you one of the members of the staff that was boxed out? Were you allowed to have face-to-face conversations? When you said that he was well, did you personally see that, or did Ron Klain tell you that? Did Jill Biden or her chief of staff tell you that he was well and cognitively stable, or did you see it firsthand? There were many times that she spoke directly for Joe Biden, and I want to know if she heard that from him, or if that was something that was typed up by an intern or someone else in the White House. Did she personally use the Autopen? Did she see the use of the Autopen? The White House isn't that big. The Capitol is much bigger than the White House is, and I see a lot that happens here. So I would love to know the inner workings there, and really what her motive was for lying to the American people. Was it just to win an election? Was it to keep her job? What actually qualified her? Was it her ability to fabricate stories, or just the fact that she was a black lesbian?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, and people will be offended, but Karine Jean-Pierre is on record time and time again, bragging about that, calling herself a historic figure, and using that as her main her main qualification for the job.
Yeah.
So
she was a DEI hire and a liar.
Yeah, take it up with Karine. Congresswoman, we deeply appreciate you being on the program. We thank you for being on the program, what looks like outside of the U.S. Capitol.
I know, sorry. I'm being blown away up here. But.
Yeah, that's right. But we thank you very much. And everybody needs to follow Lauren Boebert. You probably already do. She has 4.6 million. Sorry, not trying to rob you of 600,000 followers. 4.6 million followers on X. One of the absolute best. The bombshell Lauren Boebert. Thank you so very much.
Thanks so much, Vinny.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I don't know if it's frustrating because, and it's no one's fault necessarily, but we want to be able to have clean interviews so that we can use the clips, and so the clips are sharp, and so that they're less distracted. So, guys, next time that's happening, just make sure that we ask them maybe to go back to their office. You don't know with these. They're always on different schedules. Things change very quickly. Democrats can pull these funny little procedural votes, and can bring people, can force members of Congress, into or out of their offices. So it's probably always best to just push and delay, so that we can have a clean read, because it's very important what the Congresswoman is saying, and she has, of course, always a lot of good things to say. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of President Trump, going to be welcoming the leader of Germany live to the White House relatively soon, in approximately 20 minutes. So we're going to take that live, and then they're going to walk very quickly from the entrance to the White House back into the Oval Office, and that will be live on our show. It's going to be very, very interesting. Also, extremely interesting, as you heard Lauren Boebert talking about Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre decided to switch parties yesterday. She quits the Democrat Party in order to do what? Grift and make money. That's exactly what this is all about. Obviously, it's so transparent and it's so embarrassing. And now the entire Biden White House is turning on her, which I think is hysterical. Ladies and gentlemen, Karine Jean-Pierre, here we go. She has quit the Democrat Party after its betrayal of Joe Biden to become an independent, her publisher said in a statement. It's always good when you're the publisher of your book trying to cash in on lying to the American people. It's always great when the publisher is out releasing these statements for you. Got it? Karine Jean-Pierre, who's 50, who served under Biden for 2 years, will explain this decision to her book titled Independent. A look inside of a broken White House. Outside of the party lines. Publishing house has said, Jean-Pierre blazed trails as the first black gay spokesperson. Jean-Pierre didn't come to her decision to be independent lightly. Oh, got it. Okay. They said in a statement. Really? What was it that made you come to that decision? What could it possibly be? What could it be? I don't know. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Ding, ding, ding. I don't know if we have a money a money sound effect. We should do that. We should do like Ka-ching! That's what, yeah. There we go. Okay, there you go. Let me help you out here. This didn't, we thought long and hard about whether we should leave the Democrat Party. And then we heard a noise. And we said, yes, we should leave the Democrat Party. Jeez. What a mess. What is that? It's so transactional. Her, Jake Tapper. That's so gross. So, yes, Karine Jean-Pierre is now out. And more importantly, the Democrat Party is roasting her and ripping her to pieces, which is great. So now all the rats from inside of the ship are attacking each other. It makes us very happy. Here are some of the Democrats who are on the record now criticizing Karine Jean-Pierre. There's also a great Axios breakdown about this in this morning's read. I'll get that loaded up here in just a second. Here's Democrats roasting Cringe.
All Binder's gold digging for book deals. Democrats are rolling their eyes. One Democrat says Binder's book is the most grifty thing I've seen in a long time. And that's saying something in Washington. One former Biden White House official says she was the public face telling us all that this White House was on track and that Biden was amazing. And now she doesn't even want to be a Democrat. Here's what CNN said about DEI Tapper.
What bothers me about this, and I was making some phone calls before this to a number of former Biden administration officials and people in the White House, where they were saying this is just all an attempt to sell books. And that is what the general consensus is right now in the Democratic Party.
Whoa, wait a second. When Tapper's book came out, CNN was like, this book was brave. But Binder writes a carbon copy, and it's like, uh-oh, money grab. One Democrat insider tells Fox, the job market's really tough right now for Biden world, and I cannot begrudge anyone who needs to make a quick buck. Binder's been trying to get a TV deal, but let's be honest, that was never in the cards. After she left the administration, she tried to get a job co-hosting The View, but The View never called her back.
Well, yes, I think the position of extremely angry lesbian has been filled on The View, and for quite a while. Yeah. Good luck, Cringe, because it's going to get worse for you. Biden world goes scorched earth on Cringe Jean-Pierre. This is a absolute barn burner. So exciting here. Some of the top line quotes are hysterical. These are from people inside of the Joe Biden White House. Karine Jean-Pierre didn't know how to manage a team. She didn't know how to shape or deliver a message, and often created more problems than she solved. They said she was stupid, unintelligent. This is reading like a monologue from this program, from inside of the Biden White House. This is delicious. Let's read it. Former Biden press secretary Cringe announced Tuesday that she's written a book about a broken Biden White House and a betrayal of the president. Many of her former colleagues think Cringe, the face of the White House for more than 2 years, was part of the problem, according to interviews with 24 Biden administration officials. Here we go. Jean-Pierre's announcement Wednesday led former Biden aides to tee off on her. Many quietly fumed that for years she was incompetent at her job and at the podium. Let me take a quick zoom out here. As much as I love the backbiting and the shrieking and the raging here by libs, where were you when she was at the press dais? Like, isn't that amazing how Republicans fight each other in real time? How Democrats hold off until they have no more power and then they rip each other to shreds? But Democrats will never do anything unproductive in the moment. They all knew this. This is what they all believed behind the scenes. But they wait until it's safe to attack the carcass, right? It's so bad. If Republicans practice this for a little bit, then there would never be a Democrat victory ever again. Democrats, to their great credit and to my great admiration, stay freaking on. They stay so brain deadly committed, actually, to the deliverance of power that they'll allow these things to go on. Joe Biden and everything. Obviously, it reaches its endpoint. Okay, you shouldn't be supporting Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. It reaches its endpoint. But at the very least, they're not doing this they're not doing this live. Republicans would just do this live to each other. which is sad. It's a tactic of our enemy, in fact. Anyway, here we go. Fighting within Biden world. Is a large part of the post-election angst and grievances. New reporting of how Biden staff tried to hide his physical and mental decline. Cringe was a key part of the effort to conceal Biden's decline, vouching for his fitness and insisting the president, then 81, was sharp as ever after last June's disastrous debate with Trump. What they're saying, here are the former White House officials tattletaling on Cringe, saying she was one of the most ineffectual and unprepared people I've ever worked with. She had meltdowns after any interview that asked about a topic not sent over by producers. She didn't know how to manage a team. She didn't know how to shape or deliver a message, and often created more problems than she solved. Goodness gracious. Former Biden communications official threw more wood on the fire. The hubris of thinking that you can position yourself as an outsider when you not only have enjoyed the perks of extreme proximity to power, which bestows the name recognition needed to sell books off your name, but have actively wielded it from the biggest pulpit there is breathtaking and is desperate. And it's difficult to see how this is anything other than a bizarre cash grab. Another former White House official, familiar with the dynamics, told Axios the amount of time that was spent coddling Karine Jean-Pierre and appeasing her was astronomical compared to our attention on the actual matters of substance. Excuse me. Former senior spokesperson in Biden administration added, it's hard to believe somebody could look at the past year and genuinely think the party left Joe Biden. That's why I'm leaving the Democrat Party. Former White House communication official added, today, Cringe lost the only constituency that ever supported her, the party line Democrats. Cringe did not respond for comment. Okay, final one. Karine Jean-Pierre also caused internal drama by repeatedly blocking National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby from joining her at the White House podium when national security issues were breaking on the forefront of the news. Oh, really? Really? This individual right here, can you go up to the top and then zoom in on the photo? That individual right there is cripplingly narcissistic and incapable of sharing credit or giving to anyone other than herself. That she is completely and totally self-obsessed? Really? What a shocker. Total shocker. Ladies and gentlemen, it is remind us of a Tucker monologue about Karine Jean-Pierre that sadly we don't have loaded, but of Karine Jean-Pierre being so self-referential. How every answer is about like me and my experience, which is just an insane worldview. And something that, again, like sort of crystallizes a current moment in American politics, where there's one side that's so obsessed with their feelings and so obsessed with like how their identities, right? And how that makes them feel, how every issue makes them feel. And that's the side that somehow said that they were the adults in the room. Anybody who's raised children know that that is actually the object nature of a child, right? I have a 2-year-old. That's how my 2-year-old thinks. I have a 3-year-old. That's how my 3-year-old sees the world. When you grow up, it's spiritual, actually. It's demanded by God. You have to grow out of those things. Becoming an adult means consideration for others around you. And more importantly, consideration for your nation writ large, your country, how it operates. That's what an adult would do. That's what this current administration is doing, and you're going to see it live on our program. You're also going to see Superman live on our program here in just a moment. Okay, let's do one flashback. This is interesting, ALX. Why did you choose this one? All right, flashback on Karine Jean-Pierre. Here's her lying about Joe Biden, saying that the videos we see of Joe Biden falling ass backwards, pooping his pants on live TV, which he did. He did that on MSNBC. I'm not being mean. He did, in fact, do that. We have the footage. She's saying that those are all lies. That it's just all AI, okay? The videos that we all saw from C-SPAN cameras filming Joe Biden falling on his face on a flat stage, that was fake. Here we go.
There seems to be a sort of rash of videos that have been edited to make the president appear especially frail or mentally confused. I'm wondering if the White House is especially worried about the fact that this appears to be a pattern that we're seeing more and more.
Yeah, and I think you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith, and some of your news organization have been very clear, have stressed that these the right-wing critics of the president have a credibility problem because of the fact checkers have repeatedly caught them pushing misinformation, disinformation, and so we see this, and this is something coming from your part of the world, calling them cheap fakes and misinformation. And I'll quote the Washington Post, where they wrote about this, and they said how Republicans use misleading videos to attack Biden in a 24-hour period. And to their credit, we have a conservative Washington Examiner did call them out as well, calling out the New York Post. Ironically, several recent cheap fakes actually attacked the president for thanking troops. That is what they're attacking the president for. Both in Normandy, this happened, and again in Italy. And I think that it tells you everything that we need to know about how desperate Republicans are here. And instead of talking about the president's performance in office, and what I mean by that is his legislative wins, what he's been able to do for the American people across the country, we're seeing these deep fakes. These manipulated videos. And it is, again, done in bad faith.
We've said this often. And ladies and gentlemen, we now have the live shots of the White House up. Very exciting. You can now see the door where the German Chancellor will be entering the White House. It's going to be a very fun, rowdy time. But we've said this before. Imagine doing the show like this. What would you think of? Would you chat? Would you watch if I did the show like that? Oh, can you pop that up, Colton? Yeah, it's great. It's cool. Like everyone's gathering and ready to go at the White House. It's gonna be fun. Imagine if I did the show like this. Would you respect me? If I did the show like this the entire time, and you were able to see the top of this coiffed, wafty hair of mine, it's Johnny Bravo hair today. Would you respect me? This is how Karine Jean-Pierre did every press conference. Every press conference. And we are reminded, she sat there, that's why we call her the binder, she sat there and read from notes. Now, it's quite interesting to me that she would have notes for all these specific questions, why exactly? She's not capable of original thought. So how did she know the questions in advance? These, I think, are very important lines of inquiry. How did we know, as a matter of fact and protocol, that reporters gave questions in advance to Joe Biden so that he could be prepared? We have photos of the note card with the face of the reporter and the question, and then that reporter asks the question. So did they do the same thing with Karine? I bet they did. How is she able to read directly from a binder like this, never making eye contact? We don't even have a script on the show. We have the media. We have a little a little bit of a very a skeleton that we sort of follow, that we talk about, but everything is sort of off the top of the dome, right? Same with you in the chat, right? You wouldn't respect me at all. You're just sitting here like this. You wouldn't respect anything on this show if we were just reading from a script the whole time. Ladies and gentlemen, I may have my face down like that. I may look like this if we didn't have our bond charge, red light face mask, which I do use on a nightly basis. I keep planning on taking a selfie when I'm using it. It's this big red mask that I put on my face. One, it feels great. It feels euphoric, and it puts me to sleep. And that's why I don't have the selfie. Maybe I'll take a selfie tonight. It's this awesome face mask. I don't use it around my kids because it does scare them. So if you have little kids, look at a Halloween mask. But it is an awesome sauna mask, man. We actually talked with Kid Rock yesterday when we were at his house about a little bit of red light therapy. Nurse Kate was all in, baby. Kid Rock is maha. It's crazy. But the point is that Kid Rock gets it. I get it. Red light therapy is good. It's good for you. It's how saunas work. It's also how sunshine works. That's why that's so important. But in the dark winter months, or if you spend all day inside of a studio with no windows, just black walls, which we do, then I cannot encourage you enough, ladies and gentlemen. It helps with wrinkles and face lines, acne, relaxation, razor burns, which I get all the time because I refuse to buy expensive razors. Same cheap razor I've used for 20 years. Bond Charge Red Light Face Mask is easy to use, 10 to 20 minutes each day. You can use it while cooking a meal or putting your kids to bed. Wouldn't recommend that last part. Depends on how young your kids are. The point is that it's fantastic for you. Sleek and lightweight design, has a 1-year warranty. Since using the red light face mask from Bond Charge, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you I am going to bed more refreshed, bouncing back in the morning, and ready to rock and roll. Go to bondcharge.com/Benny and use the coupon code Benny for 15% off. BONCHARGE. Bondcharge.com/Benny. Coupon code Benny for 15%. These statements and products do not and have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Products are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure or prevent any disease or condition. Just meant to make you feel better. If you don't have room for an entire sauna, we don't in our little house. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Back to a man who, well, frankly, is Superman. Dean Cain. Dean Cain is joining the program right now to talk about his brand new banger of a movie called Little Angels. And he's been a friend of the show. And yeah, we'll talk about somebody who's who's been fresh-faced for the better part of the last 30 years. I'm very jealous of that. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Dean Cain live now. Dean, welcome back to the program. It was really fun chilling with you at the RNC convention. I think that was the last time we were able to hang out.
Yes, sir. Good to see you. Let me check my notes real quick.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yes, good to see you, Benny, and that was a lot of fun. Man, I really enjoyed that segment on cringe, and I'm using that nickname. I'm going to borrow it. I will footnote you, but wow. Golf clap. Well done.
All right, so yes, you've delivered plenty of lines to camera. It's not good when you're reading the. What would it look? Actually, if I may ask you a personal question, just off the top, because I want to talk about the movie, but if I may, how does the process work? Right. So I grew up watching Lois and Clark. I grew up watching you deliver lines, and it was must-watch TV in my family, and I'm sure many. Shout yourself out in the chat if you did as well. Ashley, can you grab the comments too? Pop up comments for people that watch Dean and his work. Pop those comments up. Nothing but love in this audience for you, Dean.
Yes.
You were delivered. How did it work? You were delivered a script. It was important for you to understand the material and then deliver the lines like in character and not reading from the script. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are 100% right. So the whole point is, you got to understand what the scene's about, and you got to know your stuff before you get out there. The difference between watching Karine Jean-Pierre and watching Caroline Leavitt is night and day. It's like watching Denzel Washington versus a horrible soap actor or something like that. I mean, it's insane. So Caroline Leavitt, she'll rattle off things from the top of her head for 45 minutes and just run through facts. She's prepared. That's called preparation. We would prepare for scenes. She's prepared for all of it. And for a young lady like that to be so on top of it is remarkable. I mean, she is at 28, I think. There's no way I was playing Superman at 28, but still, I don't think I'd be as composed and as on it as she is. She's fantastic. And to look at the two of them, it blows my, it's a great little piece of comparison from one administration to the other. When I watched those clips just now of cringe, it made me angry because I knew I was being lied to, and I knew I was being talked down to, and there was this attitude that I was just like, this is insane. Like, why? This is my government. Why am I frustrated beyond all belief? So it's insane. And then I watched Caroline Leavitt, and I'm like, yes, done. And that's how I feel about this administration versus the last. The other one was ripping me off and telling me lies, and this one's telling me the truth, and I like it.
So if you had come to set and the cameras are rolling and these are expensive productions, right? There's millions of dollars right on the line, yep. And you couldn't remember your lines and you had to read off a script, that would have been humiliating for you, right?
I would have been fired. It's over. The show won't go. It's over. End of story. Listen, we had some other actors that came on. Sometimes they had trouble with their lines because they were older or something like that. So you make some sort of dispensation for them. You'll give cue cards or something. There was a couple actors that had cue cards. A couple, not many. Because if you don't do the job, you're gone. And that's how it works in the private sector. That's how it certainly worked in Superman. and that's how it should have worked in the White House. But you were all over that, and well done, good sir.
Okay. So what is your rating? Just before we move off this topic to the movie, what is your rating for this White House? What are some of the things that you've seen that have inspired you and have brought you along? Clearly, you're a fan of Carolyn Levitt.
Mm-hmm. No question. First of all, I like the transparency. I mean, President Trump is on giving, almost every single day, he's giving news conferences. He's talking to reporters. He's answering questions. I love the transparency. The Biden administration was supposed to be the most transparent ever, and it was literally the worst. Watching their infighting now, watching them go after each other, telling us exactly what we already knew. What you said earlier in the show, this would sound like one of your monologues, and it's the Democrats attacking, someone who's jumping off, rats jumping off the ship. And that's what it is. So, and that's really how I see it. They're all going, Tapper, Karine Jean-Pierre, all these people and they're just infighting. And yeah, I hope it's tough for Dems who've been lying to us for the last 4 years and fleecing us. I hope it's tough for them to get a job. It should be. It should be. And this administration is crushing it. They're crushing it with the transparency. I think we're getting respected again. I love to see interest rates falling. I love to see the mysterious fentanyl deaths dropping. Well, what a mystery that is. Why the border is secure. Love what Secretary Hegseth is doing. I mean, I'm a huge fan of what's happening. Listen, it's not perfect. It's not perfect at all. It's hard to be perfect. But I would like to see government get smaller and smaller and smaller. I love what Elon was doing with Doge. But President Trump is a leader, and I think we're in great hands. And we're 150 days into this or now or something like that. I think I'm going to give him an A. No question about it.
So you mentioned Hegseth, man. I mean, listen, in the comics, Superman worked a lot with the U.S. military. Are you planning on working with this administration?
If the administration,
if Pete Hegseth called you up, Pete Hegseth calls you up and is like, I need you, man.
If Pete called me up, I wouldn't be on the show right now. I'd be in I'd be in a C-130 on the way to Pete right now. I'd be gone.
All right.
This administration is phenomenal, and I know who these people are, and I know what their values are, and I know how much they care about America. I mean, if you cut Pete Hegseth open, he would bleed red, white, and blue. I mean, he is through and through. So when they were attacking him, he's unqualified. They're out of their minds. So that I took it personally because I know him so well, and I respect him so much. That made me crazy. So the people who are in, there's that handsome bugger. He's not wearing a Princeton tie. He went with red and blue, but it's close enough. He's a Princeton guy a few years behind me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Did you guys went to school together? No, just a few years apart?
Just maybe a decade apart, but the same school.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, so that's going to go viral. Dean Cain offers to save the Pentagon. This is great.
Whatever's necessary. Whatever's necessary. There's some much better war fighters than me, but I'll get out there.
All right. Okay. Well, let's talk about the fight in the culture war, because you have a brand new movie out. You're the director of a new film, Little Angels, and this is something that we're very much looking forward to seeing. Dean, can you tell us about it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love that you called it the culture war, because that's what it is, Benny. It's a when you're making films like this, like Little Angels is a family movie. It's about a guy who's imperfect, a college football coach who ends up saying something really stupid and gets suspended. So he has to spend 50 hours coaching a under 13-year-old girls soccer team. He's like, it's basically Nick Saban having to go coach your 12-year-old girls soccer team and Nick Saban, who doesn't like kids and doesn't like soccer, and that's what he has to do. So he tries to get out of it any way possible. And he ends up starting to really like these kids. And these young girls are a bunch of misfits, and they've all got their own little idiosyncrasies, and they're a lot of fun. The kids are, first of all, I shot this about 3 or 4 years ago. So the girls, I saw them all. We had a premiere last night, and they're women, and it's freaking me out because it happened. And you got young ones, so apparently you snap your fingers and overnight they're adults. It was amazing, but the film played so well. They were screaming and hollering and cheering, and it's a really enjoyable, fun family movie. You could take your entire family and watch it, and they're not going to be upset by it. They're going to understand what the girls are going through. They'll see some girls picking on them, some people bullying them and stuff. But you see how a team comes together and becomes a family, and that's the whole point of the movie. Is you can't do everything by yourself. Being part of a team is like being part of a family, and it's a wonderful family to belong to. And so my character goes from a very self-centered individual to somebody who grows tremendously and realizes what these young girls are made of and appreciates them, and it changes him.
Wait, I'm sorry. This isn't registering, Tina. It's breaking my brain right now. You're telling me that there's a movie that's been made with a professional production out of Hollywood featuring Hollywood celebrities and actors that has a positive message for families and that isn't totally and completely self-aggrandizing and self-referential, something that isn't completely toxic to our culture. Do you mean you're telling me, T, that there is actually a family-friendly movie out there that has a positive and reinforcing spiritual message to it?
100%. And the thing is, we made it outside the studio system. So boom, we made it outside the studio system. I had a single investor come in and back it. And I've been trying to make, and it goes back to the culture wars. I've been trying to make a lot of products, a lot of material that families can watch together. That I'm Christian. I like to get Christian content out there to display morals and values and show a story that tells the story of like why this is important. Why it's important to be a good father, why it's important to be a responsible human being, why it's important to have compassion and real empathy, not just fake empathy, but real empathy for somebody. Why it's important not to be a selfish narcissist, cringe. Yes. Why it's important why it's important to do these things. Because my character is quite a narcissist at the beginning, and he grows. And the soccer is great, and the girls are great, but it's teams. I'm a sports guy all the way through. I learned playing football that someone's going to knock me on my tail every day, and I got to get back up. You can't always be dominating. You have to work hard, and you have to depend on your teammates, and that's how you survive in this world. That's how you survive in soccer. That's how you survive in football. So I take those sports metaphors and stick them into life, and it really, we had the premiere last night, and it was such an absolute blast. I'm so proud of this film and so proud of this cast and this crew that put everything together. I hope it does very well. And I hope people take something away from it into their own life and go, you know what, I could do that too. I could be this little girl or this guy or this and identify with the characters and go, that's how I'm going to overcome. Because that's what you can do with films. You can, politics are downstream from culture, and you can make. And Andrew Breitbart told me that way back in the day. I actually coached Andrew Breitbart's kid in basketball and football.
No way.
He was talking to me. He's like, hey, you're a Hollywood guy. I remember he was just a dad. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, I've read this book. And he gives me a book about picking on Hollywood. And I read it, and I thought it was hysterical. He's like, you're not offended? I'm like, no, you're dead on. And then we became really good friends. And he told me, Andrew told me, he's like, my mission in life now is to get you into politics. And I was like, that's not going to happen. So this is my way of telling a story and affecting politics, because politics are downstream from culture. Here's some culture. Please.
Man, enjoy. You got some Hulk. You got Hulk in there too. Jeez.
Oh yeah.
Superman and Hulk in the same. What a crossover event! This is incredible.
Dean, Hulk wins that one, by the way.
Okay. Lou Ferrigno, that's awesome. So
He's
you got
great
Dean. I maybe I'm overstepping my bounds here, but you look very in shape in this trailer. Are you on the Maha train? Are you going to be working out with RFK next video? Like, what's going on here?
In a heartbeat, I would. I am way on the Maha train. My sister has been in the Maha train before they coined Maha. So my sister's been kicking tail and saying, you can't eat this. It's got this and it's got that and it's got and then of course my mom gives me an absolutely screwed up version of my sister's advice, and I'm like, Mom, no, that's not what she said. But she's been seeing these dyes and these things and these additives. So my sister is our go-to in my family for, is this okay to eat and drink? So I'm going to be 59 in July. I want to look as good as you, Benny. And so I want to make sure.
RFK 71. RFK 71. He looks a lot better than me. RFK is almost double my age.
71?
Yes. RFK's doing full upside down chin-ups in the gym.
I didn't realize he was 71. I thought it was maybe 62.
Yeah, dude. It's insane.
That's only because he's got that Kennedy tan, which, he's been out in the sun a little more. He should maybe use that mask you talked about. It's not, maybe not stay out in the sun that much.
All right. So great. So man, I'm going to get you a ton of jobs here, man. You're going to get calls from HHS. You're going to get calls from the Pentagon.
Let's go. Okay. If I get the call from the Pentagon, I go wherever Secretary Hegseth asks me to go. I do so much for our military. I will do anything. I was in Iraq for weeks with our military back in 2005. I'm a sworn deputy sheriff. I am a reserve police officer at the same time. So I love our first responders and our military and our law enforcement. Anytime, any place, I'll go be with them because those are the kind of people I really respect.
Okay, so let's talk about people that you might not respect, because you talk about the little angels.
Didn't we start it with that?
Yep. You talk about little angels and how you have a narcissist character that actually understands, service, right, and sacrifice by the end of the film.
Exactly.
I haven't seen the film yet, but I assume that's where it's going to end up, and it sounds heartwarming.
Yeah,
That's a wonderful story. But the stories that are being told out of Hollywood is a narcissist character. Let's just say off the top of the dome, Rachel Ziegler, Snow White, like she just becomes more narcissistic. Like she becomes a bigger insufferable girl boss by the end of the film. The new Lilo and Stitch repulsed me, Dean. I don't know if you watched this. I was sickened by it. My daughters love the original cartoon. I was disgusted by this. They changed the story entirely to be about socialist healthcare and actually giving up your family. It's completely toxic. It sickened me. I was so angry about it. And I want to just ask a larger scale question here. Like, why is it so hard for Hollywood to tell a good story, to tell a story with like some morals to be part of it? Like, why would they ever greenlight Snow White? Why would they ever greenlight that abomination of a good story?
No idea. I have no idea. But they're taking all these existing properties, right? That I grew up on, my parents grew up on, my grandparents grew up on, and they're changing them into this woke baloney that makes no sense. The exact opposite is true of Little Angels. My character does exactly like you said, goes from being a narcissist, absolutely self-absorbed, excuse me, and then he ends up wanting to be part of this group, understanding his foibles and his mistakes, and how great these people were and how wonderful it is to be part of this family, and how he was just selfish and immature and ridiculous. And he grows up, and it's the exact opposite story. I think they're I don't understand what they're doing. I'm a big fan of Frank Capra movies. It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite movie of all time. And that's the kind of stuff I have always loved. And that's the kind of stories I want to tell. And I'm getting the chance to do that more now that I'm producing more and directing more. Acting, I'll keep going as long as I can. Absolutely. But I don't understand why they're making those movies. And, at the end of the day, it's business. So if they keep making Snow Whites and losing $150 million, $200 million, right, they can't keep it up. They can't continue doing that. That's why I make these movies or make a movie like Little Angels and hope that people go see it, because that does change culture. If people looked at the lessons learned in Little Angels and they go, can I apply this to my own life? It's a positive thing. Like, you want your kids to watch that and go, you're kind of like that coach. You need to stop being so, self-centered, be more of a team player or this or that. I mean, it really, it makes sense. And I don't understand what they're doing. I think in Hollywood, they have a limited amount of time to keep making that kind of stuff, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Lilo and Stitch did that thing. I'm shocked.
Terrible. Oh, it's terrible. And it's going to make money off the nostalgia bait, but people are leaving the theater. People who are sensitive to this kind of stuff are leaving the theater going like, why would you change this story? The story was already perfect. Ohana means family. Why would you change that? It's about sacrificing things for your family. You sacrifice something for your family, right? You're trying to keep your family together. And then
that's
the
most important thing.
Right. But they destroy that. The key message of the original Lilo and Stitch, they actually destroy it. It's all about like tearing their family apart and how that's a good thing. Let the state run everything. It's wild, man. It's wild.
I would fight to the death to stop that.
Right. Yes. Okay. So tell me about the new Superman. What's going on here? Like, do you know anything? Have you you've seen maybe the trailers? Maybe you know the actors? I have to ask because it comes out in about a month. And I wonder what your thoughts are on it. Clearly, someone like you is going to have like some real feels on this.
Yeah, no doubt. I will say this. I like James Gunn as a director. So James Gunn did the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I liked its irreverence, its sense of humor. I think Chris Pratt's awesome, and he's very funny. How much of it he improvised on the spot, or how much he, who knows? Because he's a really funny guy, and a very, very talented actor. Wonderful, wonderful movie. I didn't like the second one as much. I didn't see the third one, but because I got busy. But not that I have anything against it. I didn't like the second one. I just didn't think it was as good. I didn't dislike it, but whatever. But he has a sense of humor. And I think that the last Superman films, as great as Zack Snyder is at making films, was a dark universe. It was Batman's world. And it's dark, and there was no hope and no light and no sense of humor. And when Henry Cavill smiled, I don't know, I felt uncomfortable. I'm like, I don't like it when you smile. I don't get it. So I think Corn Sweat is funny. David Corn Sweat is funnier. Not as a person, because I think, it's just the character that he's playing. It seems lighter. It seems funnier. The idea that the dog comes out there and like jumps on him when he's hurt. I mean, that's funny to me because your dog doesn't get it. But then when he says home, all of a sudden the dog realizes, okay, it's time to go to work, and takes care of him. That to me said so much about what we can expect from this film. So I'm excited. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. It's like my dating life. I am very, very, very skeptical, but hopeful. So that's how I feel for this. I really want it to be good. It's about time to get that S back there with a smile on his face, some real romance. And I think I see those things in the trailer. I hope we don't get some socialist, ridiculous, anti-family message. That's going to drive me nuts. It always bothered me in the one Superman when his dad was going to get taken by the tornado, and he doesn't go, Kevin Costner, and he doesn't go get him. Man,
what the hell is that about?
No, you go get him, and you put yourself out there and go, I do anything for my family, and that's how it should have been. So I hope that kind of stuff doesn't happen in this one. I have a feeling it won't. Again, very excited, very hopeful, but very skeptical.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. You use the allegory of your dating life because you're like, it looks kind of hot. It looks hot from far away. Please don't be woke. Please don't be woke. Once I get up in there, please don't be woke. Okay. Like no matter what, like once we're saying, like, please, once we meet, don't be
banging around the brain there. What's it like? That's the key. Then that's the key. And that'll.
Can you give a little, just, not trying to pry too much here into the business, but can you give like, and I don't know if you were asked or not, but you play what is, and then we've been putting up the comments on screen. You play a beloved Superman character, and maybe the last truly beloved cultural Superman. So could you give like just a real quick top line as to what you hope Superman becomes in this new iteration?
Well, I think it's really important that they say it very clearly in the old comics: truth, justice, and the American way. Here is an orphan who was from another planet, raised by small Midwestern values, small town Midwestern values, American values, family first, family, faith, country, and those are the things that I want to see. The American flag behind you gives me a certain sense of pride. When people denigrate that flag, it hurts me to my core because I believe in those American values. And what are American values? What is the American way? It is liberty. It is the power of the individual and the autonomy of the individual to be able to compete fairly in business, not have the government put their hands on the scale like they did in the last administration, which made me insane. The ability to do really well, to achieve, and then to be able to take care of your family and pass that wealth on. That is what everybody dreams of. That's why they come here. But that is truth, justice, and the American way. And that's what Superman should stand for. It's what he stood for forever. And that I hope that we get that back in this film.
My producers are sending me all of the women who are now reaching out in the comments saying that they're single and they're looking for their
skeptical but hopeful.
Okay, you bet. Dean, we deeply appreciate you being on the program. Everybody must go see Little Angels. It is in theaters on June 6th. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how you take back culture. This is how you win. And Dean, here we go. Since you're on the program, here's Here's the president right now meeting the German Chancellor. Meeting the German Chancellor live at the White House. There we go. So Donald Trump.
That's going to be interesting.
Yes, welcome to pain. Welcome. Yeah. This is the Longhouse, friend. Yes. This is going to be worse than D-Day. Okay, here we go. All right, good luck, Germany. President Trump is going to be cooking soon inside of the Oval Office. Dean, we just want to say thank you again, and we will be supporting you, your movie, and your projects, and you as the next Pentagon spokesperson. We're going to manifest it. We're going to manifest.
I don't want to take Sean Parnell's job. Sean Parnell is a great friend of mine, a great guy. Just bring me in there, boys.
It's a specific style of. It's going to be you're the Pentagon spokesperson to Hollywood, right? And it's going to be a specific style, yes, to bring patriotism back to Hollywood. What the hell is wrong with these? You made like $10 billion on Top Gun 2 Maverick. Like, what? You didn't figure it out? Like, Hollywood didn't. So they didn't quite figure that out. Like, go make $1 billion. Make it unashamedly patriotic family movie, right? About men behaving honorably. What the hell's wrong with Hollywood? I don't get it, dude.
I don't either. And I
don't get it. They made $1 billion. What did Top Gun Maverick make? Like $2 billion.
And it saved the movie-going audience. People weren't, because it was just post-COVID, so everybody went to the theater to see it. And you get Spielberg, I think, telling Tom Cruise he saved the theaters and the theater-going people. And I did well, and I'm very blessed. I got a theater in my house, so I don't have to go out. But I'll be going out to see Superman because I want to see that. There was another movie I was going to go out and see as well. Maybe Mission Impossible because of the bigness of it, but I could probably watch that at home. Looks very stunt heavy. But Cruise has done it. He did it with Top Gun Maverick. I loved it. My uncle was a F-15 pilot. I love our military, and I appreciate the sacrifices they make. So I absolutely adored that film.
Ladies and gentlemen, you should adore Dean Cain's X feed. It's right here. We're going to just round up and say he has 1 million subscribers. He's just a few away, ladies and gentlemen, at 900,000. So make sure that we get our friend Dean over the 1 million mark. And he's just one of the true legends. Why don't we go watch Superman together? I'll make a date. You and I, we'll go. We'll do a stream afterwards, right? We'll do a live stream afterwards. Get a bunch of other like. Okay, cool, done. We'll connect offline. How fun is that?
Perfect.
Amazing. Thank you. Everybody go see Little Angels this weekend, June 6th. Godspeed, Dean.
Thank you, Benny. God bless.
That's right. 900,000 Americans can't be wrong. They follow the real Superman. He'll always be our Superman, the great Dean Cain. Maybe he'll get a date with his audience. I'm not sure. The single ladies were literally shouting themselves out in the comment section saying, "What up? What up? It's me. I'm here. I'm who you're looking for." So there you go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are preparing for President Trump. As you saw there live, President Trump has arrived at the White House and welcomed in the Chancellor of Germany. And now the main White House feed has started. And so we're going to pop that up and get freaking ready. It's just a holding screen right now. We don't have any shots of inside the Oval Office, but as you well know, it is a very short trip from the entrance of the West Wing, which is what you just saw with the motorcade, to the Oval Office. And so we're going to be very excited to watch this one. The reason why is because, well, we've had some real special moments. Real special moments. It's only been 150 days here with the Trump administration, and well, we've seen some neat things in this Oval Office. We have a little bit of our favorite, but as we wait for this live, we have our greatest hits that I think we should spool here. First off, let's do a preview of this meeting and what we can expect here from the Trump administration. This is clip U. Colden, thank you very much.
The White House, President Trump will host German Chancellor Friedrich Merz as the two leaders are expected to discuss trade and the ongoing efforts to end the war between Russia and Ukraine.
Our senior White House correspondent, Peter Doocy, joins us now with more. Hey, Peter.
And a televised Oval Office meeting is going to be the first thing these leaders do today at 11:30 when Chancellor Merz gets here. So if President Trump decides that he wants to air out any dirty laundry about Germany and the things that they have been doing over the last couple of years, then the new chancellor is not going to have a chance to talk him out of it. The way this White House operates basically is Trump and the new Chancellor Merz are going to get to know each other because they have no personal history live on camera. The visiting leader is apparently going to try to talk Trump out of hiking tariffs on the EU next month and encourage him not to pull back from treaties that require the U.S. to defend Europe, like NATO. And that follows an hour and 15 minutes President Trump spent on the phone yesterday with Vladimir Putin, who told the president a big retaliation for the breathtaking drone strikes against Russian airfields is coming. That is why President Trump now says it was a good conversation, but not a conversation that will lead to immediate peace. President Putin did say, and very strongly, that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields. The Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, is in Brussels right now at NATO headquarters. Some other world leaders are reportedly bent out of shape that he skipped a meeting about helping Ukraine. France's Macron is out there saying that the U.S. wants to pull troops from Europe to stage them in the Pacific in case China acts up. We'll see. Back to you.
Well, kind of interesting because we never know how those Oval Office meetings are going to go. And the chancellor comes in because he says, I'm going to get to that 5% defense spending. That should please Trump. What about, do you think that maybe the chancellor goes public and says, we need you, Mr. President, to give Ukraine arms? How will that go?
Well, we'll see. And you have to remember that just because President Trump doesn't have a personal history, he has no beef with Chancellor Merz. But he had 4 years to think, to read the international page of the New York Times or whatever he's reading, New York Post, and think about things that he wished our allies were doing differently. And so he has had a long time to think or possibly stew about things that the Germans...
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Trump live in the Oval Office. Let's freaking rock and roll. Okay? Let's get that audio up. Yep.
Donald Trump's grandfather, born in 1869, close to Bad Dürkheim.
Right?
Yeah.
That's called
and
serious.
his Christian name was Friedrich.
Right? That's serious German.
Serious German.
That's serious. Bad Dürkheim is serious German. But I want to thank you very much for... First of all, I want to thank you for that. That's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Fantastic. We'll put it up in a place of honor.
Yeah.
Maybe we can, let's see. We'll put it up there someplace. It's an honor to have you. As you know, the Chancellor just won a great election, very, very strong election. Very respected man. I can tell you, we've been on the phone many times talking about some of the problems of the world outside of Germany. And it's very sad what's going on. We both feel that way. What's going on with Russia, Ukraine, and other things we talk about, but Russia, Ukraine in particular. I'd like to see it end, and maybe it'll end, but we get some news, there'll be some fighting. Something happened a couple of days ago, and now they do a return, and, here it goes. It's not good. He's unhappy about it. I'm unhappy about it. But I think eventually we're going to be successful in stopping the bloodshed. It's pure bloodshed. 5,000 to 6,000 young soldiers a week are being killed. You know that those numbers?
Yeah, we know the numbers.
They're staggering. They're staggering numbers. But Chancellor, I just want to congratulate you, and I want to welcome you to the Oval Office.
Thank you.
It's an Oval Office that's in very good shape. We like fixing things up and having them tippy-top like they have in Germany. They do that in Germany very much. And we do it here. We're having a very good run. I also had a great election, great win, won everything. Won the popular vote, all 7 swing states, which is a big deal. It's pretty unusual to do that. And we have a great mandate from the people. And part of our mandate is we're going to have a great relationship with your country. So I just want to thank you very much for being here. And if you'd like to say a few words.
Absolutely. So, thank you, first of all, Mr. President, for your kind invitation to come to Washington, D.C. I was in this building first time ever in 1982, I told you, when former President Ronald Reagan was in office. So I'm very happy to be here again and to offer our close cooperation with the United States of America. We are having so much in common, our history. We owe the Americans a lot. We will never forget about that. And so with your German provenance, I think this is a very good basis for close cooperation between America and Germany. So again, thank you Thank you for the hospitality, and thank you for having your guest house for a night. This is a great place. Great place. Many thanks for that. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
It's a wonderful place. It's a landmark also. And Blair House, it's a nice place to stay. Thank you very much for saying that. Would you have any questions, please?
Mr. President, on your new travel ban, why now? And if the Boulder attack was part of your reasoning, why not include Egypt on that list where the suspect is from?
That it can't come soon enough, frankly. We want to keep bad people out of our country. The Biden administration allowed some horrendous people, and we're getting them out one by one, and we're not stopping until we get them out. We have thousands of murderers. I even hate to say this in front of the Chancellor. Of course, you have a little problem, too, with some of the people that were allowed into your country. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It shouldn't have happened. I told her it shouldn't have happened, what she did. But you have your own difficulty with that, and we do, and we're moving them out, and we're moving them out very strongly. But it can't come fast enough. We want to get them out. We want to get them out now. We don't want to have other bad people coming into our country. But using the word bad, I'm being nice. Okay, question? Please.
You put out on Truth Social a post regarding your conversation with President Xi. Right. Can you talk about whether or not you feel that trade talks, trade relations are back on track after appearing to be a little bit off track last week?
A little bit off track. It was only the complexity. It's pretty complex stuff. We had a very good conversation with President Xi a little while ago, just before your arrival. In fact, we just hung up, and they said, "You're here." I said, "That's pretty good." Two great leaders of the world in a very short period of time. We had a very good talk, and we've straightened out any complexity. It's very complex stuff, and we straightened it out. The agreement was we're going to have Scott and Howard and Jameson will be going and meeting with their top people and continue it forward. But no, I think we have everything. I think we're in very good shape with China and the trade deal. We have a deal with China, as you know, but we were straightening out some of the points, having to do mostly with rare earth, magnets, and some other things.
So those reduced trade tariff rates, they remain in effect?
Yeah, we have the deal. I mean, we've had a deal. We announced the deal, and we'll be, I guess you could say, I wouldn't even say finalizing it up, Scott. I would say we have a deal, and we're going to just make sure that everybody understands what the deal is. Okay? We had a really good conversation. By the way, he invited me to China, and I invited him here. We both accepted. So I'll be going there with the First Lady at a certain point, and he'll be coming here, hopefully, with the First Lady of China.
Mr. President, what do you expect from Germany? Go ahead, please. Did you talk about the Chinese students? Are you allowing them to come to the U.S.?
No, Chinese students are coming. No problem. No problem.
Okay, and
it's our honor to have them, frankly. Look, we want to have foreign students, but we want them to be checked. You know, in the case of Harvard and Columbia and others, all we want to do is see their list. There's no problem with that. This is anybody outside of our country, international students, because when we see some of the people that we've been watching, we say, where do these people come from? How is that possible? No, we want to have foreign students come. We're very honored by it, but we want to see their list. Harvard didn't want to give us the list. They're going to be giving us the list now. I think they're starting to behave, actually, if you want to know the truth. Okay.
On Russia, are you willing to put more pressure on Putin to end the war by imposing new sanctions on Russia and also on China?
Well, remember, I'm the one that ended Nord Stream 2, going to a place called Germany, come to think of it. I'm sorry I did that. I don't know. But I ended Nord Stream 2. Nobody else did. And then when Biden came in, he immediately approved it. That's the largest, essentially the largest pipeline in the world, going to Germany and other countries. And by the way, we have so much oil and gas, you will not be able to buy it all. I mean, you literally, we have so much, and I hope we're going to make that a part of our trade deal because we have more than anybody else. We have actually the most, by far in the world, probably double what anyone else has. So we'll work on that. I'm sure that's something we'll discuss today.
Mr. President,
what do you expect from Germany and what do you expect from the Chancellor?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to meet because I've been dealing with the Chancellor and he's very a very good man to deal with. He's difficult, I would say. Can I say that? It's a positive.
Go ahead.
You wouldn't want me to say you're easy, right?
No.
Yeah, he's a very great representative of Germany. I think all we want is just going to have a good relationship. The rest will just sort of follow very easily. We'll have a good trade deal. I mean, I guess that will be mostly determined by the European Union, but you're a very big part of that, so you'll be involved. But we'll end up hopefully with a trade deal, or we'll do something. You know, we'll do the tariffs. I mean, I'm okay with the tariffs, or we make a deal with the trade, and I guess that's what we're discussing now.
Mr. President.
Back there, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President? Okay.
Is Germany doing enough on defense, Mr. President? Is Germany doing enough on defense?
What?
Defense spending.
Is Germany doing enough on defense?
The Chancellor wants to.
Is Germany doing enough on defense?
Wants to spend 3.5.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't discussed it very much. I know that you're spending more money on defense now, and quite a bit more money, and that's a positive thing. I'm not sure that General MacArthur would have said it's positive, you know. He wouldn't like it, but I sort of think it's good. You understand what I mean by that?
Absolutely, I understand.
He made a statement, never let Germany rearm. And I said, I always think about that when he says, sir, we're spending more money on defense. I say, oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a good thing. But, you know, at least to a certain point. There'll be a point when I'll say, please don't arm anymore if you don't mind. We'll be watching him. I'll get it.
Mr. President. On Biden, Mr. President.
Yeah, Biden. You said Biden.
Your predecessor dismissed your Autopen investigation. He said he made all the decisions during his presidency. I'm curious your reaction to his dismissal.
Well, look, the Autopen, I think, is the big scandal outside of the rigged election of 2020. I think the biggest scandal of the last many years is the Autopen. And who's using it? I happen to think I know, okay, because I'm here. And I'm not a big Autopen person, fortunately. I'm glad. I'm very glad. It's an easy way out. But it's a very bad thing, very dangerous. You know, I sign important documents. Usually when they put documents in front of you, they're important. Even if you're signing ambassadorships, and I consider that important. I think it's inappropriate. You have somebody that's devoting 4 years of their life or more to being an ambassador. I think you really that person deserves to get a real signature, not an Autopen signature. And I can tell Autopen easily. I can look at it. Like two little pinholes from pulling the paper, right? You always see the pinholes. Yeah. It's real easy to tell about Autopen. I think it's very disrespectful to people when they get an Autopen signature. Outside, Autopen to me are used when thousands of letters come in from young people all over the country and you want to get them back. And, you know, people use Autopens for that, to send a little signature at the bottom of a letter. We have thousands of them. We get thousands of letters a week. And it's not possible to, you know, I'd like to do it myself, but you can't do it. To me, that's where Autopens start and stop. But I'm sure that he didn't know many of the things. Look, he was never for open borders. He was never for transgender for everybody. He was never for men playing in women's sports. I mean, he changed, all of these things that changed so radically. I don't think he had any idea that frankly, I said it during the debate and I say it now, he didn't have much of an idea what was going on.
Mr. President.
You shouldn't be, essentially whoever used the Autopen was the president. And that is wrong, it's illegal, it's so bad, and it's so disrespectful to our country.
Mr. President.
Mr. President, will you lead your troops in Germany? And if I may ask a question to the Chancellor to answer in German for the German audience, how has your first encounter been?
The answer is yes. We'll talk about that. But if they'd like to have them there, yeah, we have a lot of them, about 45,000. It's a lot of troops. It's a city when you think of it. That's good economic development. They're highly paid troops, and they spend a lot of money in Germany. But the relationship with Germany is very important. Yeah, we'll be doing that. No problem.
May I say a few words in German to
yes,
the German
please.
public? So, danke für die Frage. Wir sind hier im Weißen Haus und ich bedanke mich beim Präsidenten für den sehr freundlichen Empfang im Oval Office in diesem weltweit bekannten Raum. Ich freue mich sehr, hier zu sein und wir bereiten eine Vertiefung unserer Zusammenarbeit vor. Ich freue mich sehr darüber.
Mr. President, you've made
Mr. President,
Do you speak English because you speak such good English? Is it as good as your German, would you say? Do you feel, no, do you
No,
feel
it's not
more
my mother
comfortable?
tongue. No, it's not my mother tongue, but I try to understand almost everything and
Yeah, very
to
good.
speak as good as I can.
Very good. You know, it's,
Mr. President, you've made
it's an achievement, actually.
Mr. President,
President, can
the
we follow up on the
criticism that I've
Autopen?
seen
Yeah,
regarding, thank you, Mr. President. The criticism that I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen, regarding Elon Musk and your big, beautiful bill. What's your reaction to that? Do you think it in any way hurts passage in the Senate, which of course, what is you're seeking?
Well, look, you know, I've always liked Elon, and it's always very surprised. You saw the words he had for me, the words of, and he hasn't said anything about me that's bad. I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible. It's the biggest cut in the history of our country. We've never cut. It's about 1.6 trillion in cuts. It's the biggest tax cut. You would say, people's taxes will go way down, but it's the biggest tax cut in history. It's we are doing things in that bill that are unbelievable. And when you look at what we're doing for small businesses, for people, for middle-income people, all of the things that we're doing, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And, you know, Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate, and, you know, which was a lot of money for electric vehicles. And, you know, they're having a hard time, the electric vehicles. And they want us to pay billions of dollars in subsidy. And, you know, Elon knew this from the beginning. He knew it for a long time ago. That's been in there. That's been, I would say, JD, that hasn't changed. That's been right from the beginning, Mr. Secretary, that hasn't changed at all, right from the beginning. But I know that it disturbed him. He wanted, and rightfully, you know, he recommended somebody from, that he, I guess, knew very well. I'm sure he respected him, but to run NASA, and I didn't think it was appropriate. And he happened to be a Democrat, like totally Democrat. And I say, you know, look, we won. We get certain privileges, and one of the privileges, we don't have to appoint a Democrat. NASA is very important. We have great people. General Cain is going to be picking somebody with our, we'll be checking him out and seeing, but he wanted that person, a certain person, and we said no. And, you know, I can understand why he's upset. Remember, he was here for a long time. You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk, and even with the black eye, I said, do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup. But he said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting and very nice. He wants to be who he is, so you could make that statement too, I guess. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we're well anymore. I was surprised because you were here. Everybody in this room practically was here as we had a wonderful send-off. He said wonderful things about me. You couldn't have nicer. Said the best things. He's worn the hat. Trump was right about everything. And I am right about the great, big, beautiful bill. We call it a great, big, beautiful bill because that's what it is. And again, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest economic development moves anywhere. We've never done anything like it. Business is spurred. And I don't know if you've seen the numbers, but the numbers came out. Even the CBO, which is run by Democrats, said that we're going to be doing, you know, I'd like you to discuss it, the 2.8 trillion that CBO, this is a group of people that are Democrats. They're very hostile to us. They just came out with phenomenal numbers, what it does. You want to mention that, Scott?
Yes, sir. So what we've seen is we keep hearing from the CBO that there's going to be a large deficit from the bill, which we disagree with, but using the CBO scoring, they came out and scored the tariff revenue. We think it'll be the minimum of 2.8 trillion over the 10-year window, which actually puts the bill in surplus if you include the tariff revenue, which they won't do.
It gives you a tremendous surplus, but we're not allowed to use that. For some reason, they say scoring. Nobody knows what scoring means. Maybe a couple of people, but nobody. Somebody sits in the background. They say, well, we're not going to allow that. They're not allowing other things that we have that are tremendously profitable for our country. But if you saw the other day, CNBC, they came out with numbers, and the people on the show, very good people, I've watched them for a long time, they couldn't believe the numbers, how good they are. The numbers were incredible, and that was personal income and also very low inflation. We have very low inflation. We're down to 2% now. and maybe even lower than that. And when I took it over, it was a mess. Remember, we had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but let's say I think it's worse than that. So we had the worst inflation in the history of our country under the Biden administration. Now we're down to a beautiful number, 2%. You'd actually like to keep it there. Better than zero is 2%. It's going down maybe to 1, and 1% is like perfect. That's perfect. You don't want to have zero for certain reasons that nobody is very interested to listen to. But we have almost perfect inflation. Grocery prices are down. Everything. Remember eggs? Eggs, we weren't going to buy another egg for the next 20 years. They were so expensive, right? Remember? You guys all hit me about eggs. Eggs have come down 400%. Everybody has eggs now. They're having eggs for breakfast again. But if you look at gasoline, very important. I think always the most important because it's the energy is the biggest factor. That's what happened. He screwed up our energy policy, and everything went up because energy went up. But now energy is way down, and they have states where you're at $1.98 a gallon for gasoline. So the costs have come way down. And one of the things I ran on was that. I ran on the border. We have the best border in the history of our country, 99.99%. It was last week, 3 people came in, 2 of them for medical reasons. We let them in because one of them had a heart attack. I think it was a nice thing to do, and one of them had something else. So we've never I had very good numbers for 4 years, but we really topped it. And I want to thank Christie and Tom Homan. They've done a fantastic job. But nobody mentions that anymore. Remember, a few months ago, the border was a total disaster. People were coming in by the hundreds of thousands of people a day, a week, a month. I mean, we had a month, 2 million people came in 1 month. The border was being overrun, and a lot of bad people, criminals, murderers, drug dealers. We had some of the worst people in the world coming in from all over the world. It's totally closed. And you know what? People are coming into our country, but they're coming in legally. So we've done a great job. Elon knew that. Elon endorsed me very strongly. He actually went up in campaign for me. I think I would have won. Susie would say I would have won Pennsylvania easily anyway, even if the governor ran, the real governor, not the governor from Minnesota, he's a sick puppy, that guy. That poor guy, I feel sorry for him. But they made a bad choice with him. But if you pick Shapiro or anybody else, I spoke to him recently about his house being set on fire, which was terrible. But if they picked him, I would have won Pennsylvania. I won it by a lot. But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here, better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different. And I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody. And he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape, he said the most beautiful things about me. And he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify, did he raise any of these concerns with you privately before he raised them publicly? And this is the guy you put in charge of cutting spending. Should people not take him seriously about spending now? Are you saying this is all sour grapes?
No, he worked hard and he did a good job. And I'll be honest, I think he misses the place. I think he got out there and all of a sudden he wasn't in this beautiful Oval Office, and he's got nice offices too. But there's something about this one. I was telling the Chancellor, this is where it is. People come in here, even from Germany. They come in and they walk into the Oval Office, and it's just a special place. It's, World War I, it started and it ended here, and World War II, and so many other things. Everything big comes right from this beautiful space. It's now much more beautiful than it was 6 months ago. A lot of good things are happening in this room. And I'll tell you, he's not the first. People leave my administration and they love us. And then at some point they miss it so badly. And some of them embrace it and some of them actually become hostile. I don't know what it is. It's sort of Trump derangement syndrome, I guess they call it. But we have it with others too. They leave and they wake up in the morning and the glamour's gone. The whole world is different and they become hostile. I don't know what it is. Someday you'll write a book about it and you'll let us know. Yeah.
Mr. President, speaking of ending wars in this room, you were very critical of Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. What kind of play is he playing from your perspective? What are his...
Well, look, he got hit. He's been doing hitting, so I understand it. But he got hit hard, and I don't think he's playing games. I think I've always said he wanted the whole thing. I thought he wanted the entire everything having to do with Ukraine. That's something that would have never happened if I were president. The election was rigged. I didn't get to be president, but I got to be president now. And I think it's a much more important presidency. Other than a couple of things like that, the war would have never happened. The war with Ukraine, with Putin, would have never happened, ever, not even a chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. And it wasn't thought of. I used to talk to him about Ukraine a lot. It was the apple of his eye, but he would have never done what he did. And I think mistakes were made by him, but I think mistakes were made by other people. The president should have never allowed that war. Biden should have never allowed that war to happen. If you had the right guy in here, that war would have never happened. Israel would have never happened with Hamas. That would have never happened. The attack on Israel would have never happened because Iran was broke. They had no money. They had no money to give to Hamas or Hezbollah or anybody else. And all of that would have never happened. Inflation wouldn't have happened. It was caused mostly by energy. And the Biden administration messed up my great energy policy. We were down into the 190 a gallon, and it would have never happened. It was caused by energy and their bad spending on the Green New Scam and other things that they spent on. But all of those things would have never happened. But maybe most importantly, the war, Chancellor, with Russia would never have happened with Ukraine. It was something that would have, I dealt with Putin a lot. There was no chance, zero. And a lot of people say, how do you know? For 4 years it didn't happen. There was never a chance of it happening. And he understood the consequences. Now, it's a shame. And when you see all of those people, they came out with a report today that millions of people have died, much more than people thought. And I've been saying that for a long time. The amount of death in that war is far greater than the news has been reporting, or than, frankly, that either side has been reporting. It's a very sad thing. And I can tell you, just speaking for the Chancellor, because we speak about it, he feels the same way. He wants to see it ended. Would you like to say something?
Absolutely. And I'm here, Mr. President, to talk with you later on how we could contribute to that goal. And we all are looking for measures and for instruments to bring this terrible war to an end. And may I remind you that we are having June 6th tomorrow. This is D-Day anniversary, when the Americans once ended a war in Europe. And I think this is in your hand in specific, in ours.
That was not a pleasant day for you?
No, that was not a pleasant...
This was not a great
in
day.
the long run, Mr. President, this was the liberation of my country from Nazi dictatorship.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
And we know what we owe you. But this is the reason why I'm saying that America is, again, in a very strong position to do something on this war and ending this war. So let's talk about what we can do jointly, and we are ready to do what we can. And you know that we gave support to Ukraine, and that we are looking for more pressure on Russia. The European Union did, and we should talk about that.
We will talk about it. And,
Yeah.
it's good timing. The numbers for our country are through the roof, the economic numbers, because of the election and because of tariffs and other things, a lot of things. But we've had some of the best numbers we've ever had. They were reported yesterday, the day before, and even today. The country's doing really well. I think that one of the things you'd be most interested in is that 6 months ago, we were having a hard time getting anybody to join our military. I mean, they just couldn't do it. The numbers were record low. We couldn't get people to join the military. It wasn't me. This was before I got there, the past administration. But 6 months ago, a year ago, the numbers were record low. You couldn't get them to join. That included the police. And you couldn't get them to join. Now, we just hit the highest number in the history of our country, we think, but very close, but the highest in the history of our country, recruitment, joining the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, police forces all over the country.
What did you do for that? What was the reason?
Spirit. They love our country again. You know? You're going to do the same thing. Spirit. We have great spirit is back in our country, and it's very simple. You know, it was only, Susie, 6 months ago, right, that you got reports, you're the one that released them, that you couldn't get anybody to join the military, and now we're stocked. Every service now is packed, and we have waiting lists of people trying to get in, as good as we've ever had in the history of our country. So that's an honor. That's a great honor.
Mr. President, on the war.
You've asked. You've had enough. Go ahead.
Mr. President, so would you consider to put more sanctions on Russia? Because this discussion is going on now for weeks and months, and you tweeted about it once, but then nothing happens. So
yeah, when I see the moment when we're not going to make a deal, when this thing won't stop, if that moment, yeah, it's in my brain, the deadline. When I see the moment where it's not going to stop, and I'm sure you're going to do the same thing, will be very, very, very tough. And it could be on both countries, to be honest. You know, it takes two to tango. But we're going to be very tough. Whether it's Russia or anybody else, we're going to be very tough. That's a bloodbath that's going on over there. And when I see the moment where I say, well, they're going to just keep fighting. You know, I gave the analogy yesterday when I spoke to President Putin. I had a 2-hour and 15-minute call with him. Sometimes, and this is me speaking maybe in a negative sense, but sometimes you see two young children fighting like crazy. They hate each other and they're fighting in a park. And you try and pull them apart. They don't want to be pulled. Sometimes you're better off letting them fight for a while and then pulling them apart. And I gave that analogy to Putin yesterday. I said, President, maybe you're going to have to keep fighting and suffering a lot because both sides are suffering before you pull them apart, before they're able to be pulled apart. But it's a pretty known analogy. You have two kids, they fight. Sometimes you let them fight for a little while. You see it in hockey, you see it in sports. The referees let them go for a couple of seconds, let them go for a little while before you pull them apart. And maybe, and I said it, and maybe that's a negative because we're saying go, but a lot of bad blood. There's some bad blood between the two. I have to deal with it, and the Chancellor has to deal with it. It's incredible. The level of, there's a great hatred between those two men, but between the warring parties. Great hatred.
You say and believe apparently that there's no immediate peace.
What?
That there's no immediate peace. There will be no.
Well, I can't. I'd love to have immediate if I could. But we don't have immediate. You know, it's like I'd love to have that. I'd like it to start. Right now, we would leave a room if we knew the war could end. We'd say, forget about you guys. Forget about trade. Right?
Yeah.
We'd say, let's go settle it. There's some additional fighting that's going to go on. You know, he attacked, and they attacked pretty harshly. They went deep into Russia, and he actually told me. I mean, I made it very clear. He said we have no choice but to attack based on that, and it's probably not going to be pretty. I don't like it. I said, don't do it. You shouldn't do it. You should stop it. But again, there's a lot of hatred, and you know, I'm very proud of the fact that with India and Pakistan, I was able to stop that. And those are nuclear powers. And that was getting close to being out of hand. And I spoke to some very talented people on both sides, very good people on both sides. And I said, you know, we're dealing with you on trade, Pakistan and India right now. I said, we're not going to deal with you on trade if you're going to go shooting each other and whipping out nuclear weapons that maybe even affect us. Because, you know, that nuclear dust blows across oceans very quickly. it affects us. And I said, if you're going to do that, we're not going to do any trade deals. And you know what? I got that war stopped. Now, I hope we don't go back and we find out that they started, but I don't think they will. They were both good. They were well represented. I want to congratulate both countries because, as you know, the leader of India, who's a great guy, was here a few weeks ago. We had some great talks. We're doing a trade deal. And Pakistan, likewise, they have very strong leadership. Some people won't like when I say that, but, you know, it is what it is. And they stopped that war. Now, am I going to get credit? I'll never get credit for anything. They don't give me credit for anything, but nobody else could have done it. I stopped it. I was very proud of that. I wish we could do the same thing with Ukraine and Russia. And at some point it'll happen. I believe that. And if it doesn't happen, or if I see somebody's out of line, if Russia's out of line, you'll be amazed how tough. Remember this. They like to say that I'm friends with Russia. I'm not friends with anybody. I'm friends with you. I'm not friends with them. I want the right thing to happen for our country, for everybody, for humanity. But I'm the one that stopped the pipeline. It's called Nord Stream 2. Until I came along, nobody ever heard, not one person in this room ever heard of Nord Stream 2. You probably did, yes, because it went to Germany. He's the only one
knowing that this was a mistake.
But I stopped him. I stopped it. Yeah, and you've said that openly. Yeah. It was a mistake because, and I used to go with Angela. I'd say, well, wait a minute. We're spending all this money to defend you against Russia, and then you're giving Russia billions of dollars a month. What kind of a deal is that? You know, which was, but you said it better than anybody else. I appreciate it. But I'm the one that stopped it. And that was the biggest economic development job, if you want to call it that, in the history, think of it, in the history of Russia. That was a massive, it's the biggest pipeline in the world. Going to go all over Europe, not only to Germany. You know, they were Germany, but then they were branching off all over to Europe. Nobody ever heard of, not one person of you heard of it. And I stopped it. It was dead. And then they say, I'm friends with Putin. I got along with him. He respected me, I respected him. It would have never happened. But I stopped Nord Stream 2. When Biden came in, almost the first week, he approved it. He let it be built. And then they say that I wasn't tough on Russia. Putin said to me, you know, you're not tough on Russia. You stopped the biggest, most important job we've ever done. You stopped it. And Biden came in and he let it be built. And I'll tell you what, I'll never forget the day I had it totally stopped. They weren't building. They gave up on it. They weren't able to. And then Biden came in and he let him build. I couldn't believe it. Okay, one or two questions more, please. Any questions? Any question for the Chancellor? Go ahead, for the Chancellor. I like his answers much better.
Would you continue to support Ukraine?
Yeah, I'm with Ukraine. We just signed a big deal on rare earth with Ukraine, and we want to. I want to. You know what? I'm for stopping killing. Really, that's what I'm for. Again, a war that would have never started, should have never started. I want to see the killing stop. We spent $350 billion, much more than Europe, but Europe spent a lot also. And they spent way over $100 billion. Yeah. So you're talking about close to $500 billion went into that whole thing. And it's not even the money, and I know with you too, it's a lot of money, but it's the death that's being caused. We went to the Middle East. I went last week to the Middle East. We took in $5.1 trillion. That's many, many times. That's 30, 40 times, 50 times more than what we're talking about. It's think of that, $5.1 trillion of investment with one trip that lasted 4 days. So it's not the money. It's a little the money, but not the money, the big thing. The big thing is the death. The death of, and really the decimation. You've lost a whole culture. You know, Ukraine had the most beautiful turrets. They call them turrets, the little towers, beautiful towers, the most beautiful in the world. They're all now laying on their side, blown to smithereens. It'll never happen again. They've taken away the culture of a country. They've taken away the heritage of a country. It's a terrible thing. But most importantly, again, is the death. 5,000 plus people a week, soldiers, are being killed. He doesn't want that, and I don't want that. And one more. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, do you support the Graham bill on putting high tariffs on China?
I haven't looked at it, but they'll be guided by me. That's the way it's supposed to be. They're going to be guided by me. No, I haven't looked at it. It's a bill on sanctions, etc. I'm a very quick study. At the right time, I'll do what I want to do. But it could very well be okay. I'll have to see. But they're waiting for me to decide on what to do, and I'll know maybe very soon. It's a harsh bill. Yeah, very harsh.
Take one more on Autopen.
I would like to have a question to the Chancellor as well, because do you agree with the analogy the President made on the war between Russia and Ukraine as being a fight between two kids? Is that how you view that as well? And what do you actually want the US President to do in this?
Well, I think we both agree on this war and how terrible this war is going on. And we are both looking for ways to stop it very soon. And I told the President before we came in that he is the key person in the world who can really do that now by putting pressure on Russia. And we will have this debate later on again, how we can proceed jointly between the Europeans and the Americans. And I think we are all we are having the duty to do something on that now to stop it after 3.5 years, which is really terrible. Look at the kids, the kids which were kidnapped from Ukraine to Russia. This is all terrible. And so we are talking about instruments, measures, what we can do. And my personal view is clear on that. We are on the side of Ukraine, and we are trying to get them stronger and stronger just to make Putin stop this war. And this is our approach.
We get satellite pictures of the war field, and you don't even like to look at them, right?
It's terrible.
So
it's really
bodies,
terrible.
arms, heads, legs all over the place. You've never seen anything like it. It's so ridiculous.
And this is only by Russian weapons against Ukraine. This had never happened with Ukraine weapons against Russia. Never. Ukraine is only targeting military targets, not civilians, not private, not energy infrastructure. So this is the difference, and that's the reason why we are trying to do more on Russia, how to stop this war.
Well, in this case, I'm talking about the battlefield, the soldiers on soldiers. But you could also say that, too, with the cities. The cities are being hit also. So it's a terrible, terrible thing. Somebody said Autopen. Did I hear the word Autopen?
I'm just curious.
Because I think it's the biggest scandal maybe in the last 100 years in this country. So when I hear that word, I think it has to be discussed, because the fake news will try and hide it, and we can't do that. But go ahead.
Have you uncovered any evidence that anything specific was signed without President Biden's knowledge or by other people in the administration acting illegally?
Well, I don't think Biden would know whether or not he signed it.
I'm asking if you've uncovered anything.
No, but I've uncovered, the human mind. I was in a debate with the human mind, and I didn't think he knew what the hell he was doing. So, it's just one of those things, one of those problems. We can't ever allow that to happen to our country. The danger our country was in, and I know some of the people that worked with him, radical left, horrible people. And I could give you the name of some of the people that used the Autopen, because I'm here, and I ask questions about people that were here also. There are a lot of people that were here when that happened, and they're here right now, and they'll answer your question very accurately. But I know some of the people that use that Autopen, and those are not the people that had the same ideology as Joe Biden. These were radical left lunatics that used that, and they didn't get elected. He didn't get elected either, actually. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Here we go. We'll see. Would you see if there's any extra fireworks at the end?
Thanks, everybody. Keep coming.
I try not to jump.
All right. There we go. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we have Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Clearly, the news of all of that was that the bromance may well be over between Elon and Donald Trump. Now, what happens with Trump? What is Trump's tactic on these things? Because we've seen the extreme magnanimity of Donald Trump, but as a story we just heard retold, for instance, when Donald Trump was meeting with Bill Maher, who's arguably the most vicious and angry, seething Trump hater on earth, Donald Trump put out a little statement right before his meeting with Bill Maher, which went great, and Bill Maher gave a lavish, bootlicking monologue afterwards. Donald Trump puts out a statement like hitting Bill Maher before they have their meeting. President Trump is a attacker. He's somebody that uses frictions in order to move people. He's always done this with friend or foe. I don't want there to be some meltdown between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. We are massive fans of what Elon Musk has done on X. We're fans of what Elon Musk has done to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. But Elon Musk has been spited by some inside of the White House since departing, and I think it's created this large friction. He's also, Elon Musk, in charge of quite a bit of America's tech and military tech, low space orbits, satellite, one of a very important platform that we use every single day. We don't want there to be some meltdown between the White House and Donald Trump. But this is politics. Politics is ugly. Politics requires people to sometimes brawl it out. As best as I can tell, Elon doesn't like the fact that the new bill doesn't effectively address budgetary problems that we are seeing. And there's nobody that doesn't agree with that. Obviously, what Congress should do is just not spend another cent for the rest of our lives, right? Until we've paid off our debt. $36 trillion in debt is unsustainable and obviously not realistic. It's not a healthy country when that happens. But Elon Musk, here we go. Here's what he just says. Elon Musk has been sort of, let's just say, subtweeting the White House. Whatever, keep the EV solar incentives cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are ever touched. Very unfair. Ditch the mountain of disgusting pork in the bill. In the entire history of civilization, there's never been legislation that's big and beautiful. Everybody knows this. Either you get big and ugly or slim and beautiful bill. Slim and beautiful is the way. This is what Elon Musk is advocating for. We believe, we like, you have to be pragmatic in a moment like this. You just have to straight up pragmatic. You have to say, like, well, you know what? We see the Trump side and we see the Elon side. Okay, so here's our best defense of both. All right? In the constant efforting of us to not drive further divisions, which we don't want to do. We want the Republican Party united so that we can control and maintain power, so that we can do the things that prevent the collapse of Western civilization and predation of our children. Okay, so here's the case for Elon. The case for Elon is there is no way to pay off our debt, and we're going to be debt slaves forever. Unless somebody does something, unless people start doing something drastic. And that's going to take political pain. And then here's the Trump argument. Well, why didn't Elon say that when he was in the White House? And then more importantly, you still have my number. So we can work on this. Trump says, I think Elon misses this place. I think Elon misses being able to have access to the Oval Office. And then saying, well, is our bromance over? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think. I have a feeling this is going to be very much the story of the day. So let's lock in. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to lock in more with our programming, please consider subscribing to our podcast. Consider subscribing to wherever you listen to podcasts, not just the live stream, but also many people who can't catch the live stream. Or if you wish to just support us further, please go ahead and punch the QR code on the screen and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. The good news of the day, I guess, is that Donald Trump, the good news for Germany is that Donald Trump didn't go completely D-Day scorched earth, but also that we have our verse of the day. So no matter what, right, we'll always be bringing you good news from 2 Corinthians today, 5:7. For we live by faith and not by sight. There's so much that is unseen. You have to always keep your faith. And it's been crazy because over the last 24 hours, so many awesome things have happened. It's something that you truly could not even have been imaginable just a couple of months ago. but certainly a couple of years ago when we first started the show. And so we just, like, from a place of great graciousness and appreciation, we thank you. We thank you, and we thank God's providence in these things. Because all we're doing is, like, out here letting it rip and trying, you know? And we're trying to save the culture for our children, for your children, grandchildren, or maybe the children you want to have someday, depending on where you are in life. So that's why we do what we do. Christ is King. We do it to save this nation, and we do it to save our culture. And so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, and thank you for obviously supporting this program. We have so much more to bring you. We have a massive announcement tomorrow on the show. It's going to be a really fun one. We're going to have a wild next week. It's going to be exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Here we go. Thank you again. That was it's always, you never know what you're going to get with President Trump. Yeah, it's always fun to watch. And thank you for joining us. This is great interview with Dean Cain. It was fun to talk with that guy. We are out here for you. We are fighting, and we'll never quit, because in the end, we win. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
The strength of the wolf is the pack, and the strength of the pack is the wolf.
Diversity is our strength. The farmer keeps the gate open because it's good for us.
It's not safe for us in the wilderness. The farmer's land is where we must, let's say, assimilate.
I can't wait to meet our new neighbors.
Close the gate, you morons.
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.